This is a map with every Division 1 FBS school on it, but only one of those colleges can be standing by the end of the video, so let me explain how we're going to go from 138 teams down to just one in the channel favorite Imperialism. Each round, I will be spinning this wheel to decide what school we're starting with. It looks like it's going to be Ohio State. This is the wheel that really matters though. It determines where they're attacking up north, a little bit to the east. Funny enough, that means it is going to be Akron that is going to have to defend their territory here. The loser of this game is eliminated from Imperialism. The winner, though, gets to take over all of that land, and we have a little bit of a mismatch. I think we know how this game is most likely going to go, but we have to do this process over and over until there's just one team standing. For the Zips, they just aren't going to last long in this Imperialism. They're down 44-3. You know, I could be on that field, though, coaching them on their first offensive drive to open up this season. If they had me, maybe this game goes differently. At least they've been a part of a tutorial for some of you that might still not somehow know how Imperialism works. This is my favorite thing to do. It is never enjoyable, though, to watch your school get eliminated and wiped off of the map. We are saying goodbye to the Zips. That's what happens when you lose. We also need to welcome two new teams to this Imperialism that just moved up to the FBS level. So we got North Dakota State. It's a little weird without a South Dakota State here. And we also have Sacramento State in California. Will they be able to win this entire Imperialism? Most likely not, but we have seen some really wild things happen throughout the history of it. Last year's national champions, Indiana, are already being selected too. I guess they're going straight for Ball State. They didn't even want to attack their rivals, Purdue. They have to pick on the tiny Mac school. That just means the 72 overall Cardinals are about to have an uphill battle. Do you believe in magic, though? That is the question I'm going to be asking you many times throughout this video. With about 2 minutes remaining, Indiana is up by 15. However, there is still a very slim chance that Ball State wins. They just need to do a little bit more here on 4th and goal to keep their hopes alive. They've saved all 3 of their timeouts. They throw to the end zone, and that looks like a read I'd make. It does seem like Indiana is going to be able to hang on. You know, for Ball State to even have it slightly competitive, though, that is a big win for them. It wasn't just a blowout. It's weird how feared Indiana is on these Imperialisms now, because when I started doing them 3 to 4 years ago, they weren't feared at all. There are also so many teams on the wheel right now. It is Maryland that got selected. They will be going up against Virginia in our next game. So far, every team that has been attacked hasn't been able to defend their home territory, but I think the Cavaliers have a good chance of that. This might already be the case of an announcer's jinx, though, because Virginia is down by 2 with a minute left in this game. They got to get in field goal range. The best part about these Imperialisms early on in the year, too, is it's how I learned where a lot of players transferred. Virginia has Bo Perbula on 3rd and 9. They need to have something going their way, and I'm sure they'll take the first. They have also had to use 2 of their timeouts. Is Maryland actually going to be decent this year? Is it worth it for them to have Malik Washington back? I mean, you got to stop the scramble. I feel like so far they're doing a really good job of containing Virginia. Got to go towards the sideline, get out of bounds. With only 1 timeout left, though, they're going to need about a 20-yard gain here to even have a chance at a field goal. And that's exactly what they're able to find. Did he catch it, though? I'm pretty sure he did. Cameron Courtney did. He hung on to the football there. Of course, Maryland is going to ice him. Virginia might have just clutched up at the last second, though. I'm so sorry to my Maryland fans out there. It doesn't look like you all are going to win this one unless he misses this. Is that in? I think that's in. No, it's not. I can't even tell from this angle. Malik Washington is going to remain alive in Imperialism for a little bit longer. I also will need to be getting checked for my vision, and some of you will just say, well, off your interceptions, we already knew you couldn't see. It's getting a little concerning. Just taking another look at this kick. It was wide right. It just didn't sneak in. That is going to be a great result for the Terrapins. Probably unexpected, but also something that they need to go their way, especially because they have a really cool stadium. They deserve to have good football. Well, we are 3 teams down. We have another 134 to eliminate before we have 1 winner, though, and that says Hawaii. I just finished up our long series with them. I still have all the stuff behind me. Where are they attacking? It looks like they are going to have to deal with Arizona, and that's probably the hardest matchup outside of like a USC they could have gotten here. There are a ton of future Hawaii legends I wish could be a part of this team to help out against the Wildcats. Maybe they don't need the help, though. With a minute remaining, we are going to see Hawaii trying to get a defensive stop. They're up by 5 points. Noah Fafita goes down. He's got about 70 rushing yards in this game. Do we think that they are going to be able to keep them out of the end zone? Still looking good. You know, if anything, the biggest issue arising is if Arizona scores, there is going to be no time left. They have been able to milk so much clock, and Hawaii's getting some pressure. Hawaii gets the pressure, but no, Fafita makes the play of the game. And there's not much more I can just say besides giving him his props. We are going to watch Hawaii get eliminated off of incredible movement back there in the pocket. He finds a receiver. The catch was smooth too, and they don't get the 2-point conversion. What does Micah Alejado have in his back pocket? Come on, buddy. You got to cook here. You got to cook. There's a flag on the play. There will be one more attempt at a Hail Mary. You know what we discovered in our Hawaii series, though? He only has 82 throw power in this game. He's not reaching the end zone. He's going to need to get another 15-yard penalty, or nothing is going to change here. Off of his back foot, too. I mean, that's just going to be it. But the ball almost deflected the right way. I figured Hawaii was going to be out. I just wish it would have been later than earlier. You know, it's always a team that I want to root for that doesn't end up making it that far. This just makes Arizona a lot more vulnerable to attacks, though. Also, Kentucky is still on the map. I know we're only 4 rounds in, so there's not really reason for me to be victory lapping over my favorite team still being here, but they're on there. For these first few games, we're already seeing a good bit of action. I'm liking that. There haven't been really that many blowouts at all. New Mexico State is up next. What do they have to offer out there in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico? It's not Albuquerque. I can't remember what city they're in. You know where they're headed, though? Albuquerque, because that is where their rivals are situated, and they have to attack north. It is the Rio Grande rivalry. We got a 73 overall going up against a 76. I have also been told this is another game I need to see in person one day. If it is going to be as nail-biting as this one currently is, it seems worth it. New Mexico State used all their timeouts to get the ball back. They're down by 4. They really don't have too much time to cook up here, but we will see what Rob Webster can do as he throws it out of bounds. Coming out in 5 wide, he is going to hang on to this ball for a little bit. He wanted to take a deep shot. Nothing there, though. What are the Aggies going to draw up on 4th and 6? Just a bunch of routes that he once again won't even give a chance because he hangs on to it for a little bit too long. This is a great win for the Lobos, though, being able to hang on at home, defend their home territory. It is New Mexico's 76th rivalry win. Unless this rivalry is just super lopsided, these teams have been playing forever. That might cause you to wonder, why are those two teams not in the same conference? Doesn't make much sense. Test your ball knowledge, too. Do you know what conferences they belong to? I'm going to give you a second to think about it, as we're finding out Arizona is already having to attack again. They are not getting out of this rivalry against Arizona State either, so the state of Hawaii and the state of Arizona is going to belong to either the Sun Devils or the Wildcats. Now, I gave you your time. New Mexico is staying in the Mountain West, while New Mexico State is in Conference USA. Were you able to get both of those? One thing I've noticed is I have a lot of friends that'll even get confused at what conference a team like App State is in. You see the score, though, in the duel in the desert. Arizona just waxed Arizona State. Are the Sun Devils going to be that bad? No, Fafita is going off. Hawaii put up a much better fight. 45-7. That is just disgusting. Not a good look for Arizona State at all. Arizona has really been impressive. They're hoping that the wheel doesn't find them again. It is instead going to head over to the East Coast, where we're going to Charlotte. I think they just got a new first-year head coach, and the poor guy is going to have to head to Death Valley to take on Dabo Swinney and Clemson. It is not a very kind way for him to be introduced to Imperialism, though the Tigers are only an 83 overall. You know, I thought there was no way things got worse for Dabo Swinney, but they really could if they don't win this game. They completed that pass. Grayson Loftus hasn't thrown an interception. He is really trying to pull off the upset. He made that throw with 3 dudes in his face, and is the stadium pulse even going to get to him? Clemson bringing some pressure. That wasn't the right read. It is hard to not be impressed, though, by the fact that the 49ers are even in this one. And there's the sack. There's the sack. It's the announcer jinx. I have to stop talking. It is 3rd and 17. Little bit of a rougher spot for Charlotte to be in. Hopefully they get like half of it back here. I don't know what you want him to do there, though. I mean, you got to get rid of the ball. The problem is nobody's open. Your offensive line is collapsing. A 4th and 27 miracle. That is what we're hoping for, and it's going to be so short. With only 2 timeouts left and 50 seconds on the clock, Clemson is going to be able to end it. It would have been really cool to see Charlotte pull it off, but they did their best defensively. They just couldn't finish that drive. The chaos still hasn't really started, but it's very obvious what is coming soon. Nobody's team is safe. That is what is so beautiful about Imperialism, Is Indiana going to have to play again? They are. For a second, it looked like it was going to stop on Illinois, but that did not happen. However, those two teams are still going to have to battle it out because that arrow is running into Fighting Illini territory. Maybe a little bit of a threat, a little bit of a challenge here for the Hoosiers. There was also always a world where Indiana just walked into their stadium. They dominated this game, and I think Turbo Richard is going to have a final exclamation point that really shows that. 44-10, little bit of a struggle for Illinois. Is Josh Hoover going to be the next Fernando Mendoza? Indiana has so much to live up to this season. I'm very interested to see how their year goes. I'll tell you right now, I will not doubt them ever again. I've learned my lesson. They proved everybody wrong last year, and this is what the map is looking like with 130 colleges remaining. There's still a very high chance your school is in this imperialism still, and you believe that they could win it, even if it's the smallest chance possible. Kennesaw State has been landed on, though. Not that they were a favorite or anything. They are just going to have to earn their spot if they're able to take down Middle Tennessee. What I will say about Kennesaw State is I can't speak for this season, but last season, they were solid. It was the game FIU had me down for. Their Vice night, I watched Kennesaw State walk into their stadium and play pretty well. I feel like it's pretty safe to assume, though, for a small school, they most likely don't have the same quarterback back for another year, and we're in overtime. In the fourth quarter, both teams got their first touchdown. Middle Tennessee is going to just take a check down, make it a first down. Antonio Martin wanted every last inch of that. And I think this is a good time to call out. If you enjoy videos like this, if you enjoy watching all the colleges in the country battle it out, I will be doing this on Friday in a different way. I will be doing a playoff of all 138 teams, setting up the bracket. I will just be doing it live on Twitch because I want to get back into streaming. There's some stuff I just enjoy the live aspect of, whether it's a rebuild or this. Sometimes I just want that experience. These games are already cool the way that they are. However, watching an upset live with you all at the same time, even better. So yeah, this Friday, please be there if you can. Got to get hyped for the college football season coming back. On 3rd and goal, Middle Tennessee is going to dish it out, but they're going to have to kick 3. That is a great goal line stand from Kennesaw State, and I'll have the Twitch down in the description. What are the Owls going to do in response, though? Can they end this here? Ricky Collins is at QB, so does a new face, and he just turns it over. He just gives it away to them. One of the worst reads we've seen. Middle Tennessee is just going to be running up the score at the end. They're going to make it look like their offense was decent. And what a win for the Blue Raiders. They were able to hang on to their territory. You know, I've been saying for years now I'm going to get down to a game at Middle Tennessee as well. There's so many schools I have to get to. I feel like it's not right of me to do that, though, because Western Kentucky also wants me to come to a game, and they are major rivals. I got to stick with my Kentucky teams. It's ridiculous. I think I'm just going to be a fan of every college team outside of a few. I just love college football. We got New Mexico going north. This is getting us a little Mountain West action like we were experiencing with Hawaii. We'll see if the first military school to make an appearance can hang on to their land. It isn't looking very good with 14 seconds left. I will say that. They've no timeouts. They have been able to make it down to the 11-yard line, though, and obviously they can't run the football here. Are we taking off for a touchdown? No, it's a throw, okay? Liam Sarska is just trying to give the Falcons the chance at the game-winning touchdown in the final seconds. Is he going to be able to pull it off, or is New Mexico going to hang on here? I think he's just going to scramble. I think he's going to try and do it himself, but he slides short. Why would you slide short in that situation? That's where you got to just level a guy, and he still wins player of the game. I'm sorry, Air Force. You had your chance. He just didn't want it that bad. A little disappointed. I'm actually not going to get on EA for it being unrealistic, though, because I can think of numerous times I've watched quarterbacks slide at the end of the game when they shouldn't. For Texas Tech, they just announced some new jerseys today. People seem to either love or hate them. I'm kind of indifferent on it. But they're going to be attacking Oklahoma State, who just reloaded. We will see if the North Texas Cowboys can knock out the richest team in the Big 12. They might not be winning with a minute and a half left, but they're at least in a striking position. What does Drew Mestemaker have up his sleeve? He has not called a play until there's 4 seconds left for whatever reason. Then he just throws it into double coverage. At least the Cowboys still have all 3 of their timeouts, and they decide to run the ball. They're fumbling it. They can't recover it either. You know, I just don't even understand what's going on right now. Is the AI so brain dead? They're not going to call timeout? What are we doing? What are we doing? Call a timeout. There's 16 seconds left. There's 15 seconds left. 3 timeouts. You don't just get to take them. Oh, now they call it. Now they call it. I swear I'm going insane because I used to do these videos back on NCAA Football 14, and I was always like, wow, the AI is so outdated. But when we get the new game, they're going to be very intelligent. And some things they're very smart on. Other things they definitely aren't smart. I think that is the nicest way to put it. Anyway, with 7 seconds left now, that was a huge throw from Drew Mestamaker. He takes the sack, so Texas Tech is going to respond. From the 27, you can make something happen, though. We have seen miracles from this spot. Maybe you're thinking about Alabama, Auburn a little bit ago. There's a flag as well. Are we going to get a flag on every single Hail Mary play? I feel like we are. That pass interference call might just send this one to overtime. It might knock out Texas Tech. Oklahoma State. Final play of the game. No time left, and it's a one-on-one that is going to be caught. Texas Tech is crumbling here. That alone is not going to do it, though. They still need the 2-point conversion. I honestly thought they were going to get a hand on this ball, but it's a good look. We might be dealing with another overtime game. Is Oklahoma State going to cook here? What do they got? Running back was open, but so is the slant, and he drops it. After all of that, we're going to drop the slant, and the Red Raiders are going to stay alive in Imperialism. Well, I salute Oklahoma State for the effort still, but I really thought they were about to get that one to OT. If we zoom out a little bit too, taking another look at the United States, Texas Tech is trying to catch up to New Mexico whenever it comes to the biggest territory, but they're still a little bit away. One thing I always preach in these videos, though, if you want your team to go as far as possible, you're actually better off not having them expand at this time. It just increases the odds of them having to play in more and more games. One game I wish I could watch again, though, was the Colorado State-Colorado ones that we got a couple years back. They're being forced to play here, but it's just not going to hit the same as it used to. Maybe I was wrong, though. This is still going to be a classic. They got Haas Haney at QB. It's not like I know the kid because he's really good on the field. I'm not sure if he's ever even played. What I do know about him, though, was last year, he had like 93 speed. He was in the transfer portal, and he could have turned into a legend wherever you signed him. Good to see him out there. They are down to just 18 seconds left, though, so they're going to need some big plays here. 2 timeouts left. That's not worth it. It's also weird to wait 3 seconds to then call the timeout if you're going to use it anyway. Whatever, though, Colorado State basically has 2 plays if they want to be able to come back. They're going to get a chunk of it here, maybe more than a chunk. Hang on. We're witnessing another good ending. I don't understand how we have been gifted this many incredible games at the start of Imperialism. It has never been like this before, but it is going to be another classic. No time will be left. Wow, he scrambles, and he's short. He's short. Colorado gets the goal line stand. The Buffaloes are going to win the Rocky Mountain Showdown in a game of inches. That is right, gentlemen. 2 extra inches matters. 2 inches can still be big. Don't let anyone tell you differently, though he might have been a little bit farther off than just 2 inches away from getting this in. What a tackle from Lampron. He got over there, and he made sure to make the play. Imperialism is just the gift that keeps on giving. It is basically a guarantee that they're going to be entertaining. There is nothing better than a bunch of tight finishes, and we're going to see App State next. It was so close to landing on Arizona. They would have had to play for a 3rd time. As someone that has made the trip up to Boone, though, I kind of figured this is where the wheel was going to be taking App State once I saw where it was pointed. We already saw Charlotte go into Death Valley, though, and almost pull off the upset. It is only a matter of time before the Tigers lose, especially being in a spot like this. The Mountaineers are going to just run the ball, though. I guess they want to head to overtime. That might be the smart decision on their part. You know, they're doing the right thing here. They took the clock down to 0 before they snap it. One final play to reach the end zone. It will result in a sack. I don't necessarily respect not trying to get in field goal range with 45 seconds left, but I do see the vision. Clemson is going to have the ball first in overtime, and they're about to score immediately. We have to have some faith in the Mountaineers, though. They were able to get themselves in this position in the first place. And, I mean, wrong reads still work. What I really want to see is if they can score a touchdown, just go for the 2-point conversion already. You know what you got to do if you score later on. App State is going to have to get into the end zone in the first place, though, before worrying about any of that. And it's another drop. That stadium pulse might be starting to kick in. Can't connect there either. You know, say what you want about the Tigers for being in these positions in the first place, but they seem to be able to close out games. Never mind. Never mind. Malachi Singleton is able to find his tight end. He has now found his way to App State, too. Another transfer quarterback at a new school, and they punch it in. Here we go. This is where you just go for the 2-point conversion now. You don't kick. Sure enough, though, they're just going to give us more overtime. Here we go. Next drive for Appalachian State. Almost started with a pick. That was a little bit of a risky window to get it into, and they love these corner blitzes. I've watched the Tigers send like 3 of them already. I have a feeling the Mountaineers are just going to run the ball and that was the right choice in this situation. Jakari Lewis has been a little bit of a tank. I'm not sure they've seen a runner as good as this since Darrington Evans. Eventually, Clemson was going to be able to stop the run, though, and they're not going to here. 3rd and short. Well, they handed off, and they stuffed him. I have a feeling App State's probably just going to kick a field goal. When Clemson scores in 2 plays, though, you'll realize what I'm saying. This is why you got to be aggressive. I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. First play, though, is going to start with a simple wide receiver screen for a touchdown. And you can't say it was App State's defense that put him in the position to be in a tight one in the first spot. You know, this Clemson team has a lot of resilience. They've avoided 2 upsets. We just started. Teams are not going to stop challenging them, though. That's just going to keep happening more and more. We'll see how long they can stay in it. We got Miami, Ohio. The Hurricanes were just able to avoid having to play. Meanwhile, the Red Hawks traveling about an hour southeast to play Cincinnati. As someone that has made the drive from Cincinnati up to Oxford, when you get to Oxford, you feel like you are in the middle of nowhere. It does seem like it would be a really fun college town, though, and I also like Cincinnati's setup, too. This whole facility that's around my face cam right now, it's extremely nice if you get up there. The only bad part about being a season ticket holder there, at least when I was there, the seats are super tiny at Nippert Stadium, and I had to walk like a mile and a half. For whatever reason, I got the parking garage that was as far away as possible. It was definitely good for me, though. By the way, Miami, Ohio has kept this really tight. We have another finish that is coming down to the wire, though I think you can tell where it's going. I mean, after this sack, I don't think the Red Hawks are even going to get off another snap. 1 second, and they were just trying to call for an adjustment. That's not the time to do that. You have to at least give yourself a little bit of a chance. It is a rivalry win for Cincinnati that they should be winning. We're just going to have to say goodbye to another MAC school. But we've seen MAC schools do great things in Imperialism. The things I would do to relive the moment when we watched one of them win the entire thing. I really don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. It was a classic. We also have our first of the 2 new schools having to deal with an attack. Sacramento State is being attacked by Cal. The Golden Bears are picking on one of the 2 new schools. They're trying to get a nice little win for momentum early. It's safe to say they were successful in doing so too. 35-13. JKS is just good. He wasn't going to have a problem, so basically, all the new territory that Sacramento State just took over from California for entering is now gone. They did not last very long. North Dakota State is hoping that they can go for at least a little bit longer than that. Mississippi State is going to be nowhere near them as well, so the Bison are safe for now. Who might not be safe, though, is Southern Miss. They are going to be under attack. As a team that's just 10 overalls worse, they might still be able to survive. The alternative is Southern Miss could just struggle to score points the entire game, as they only have 3 with 30 seconds left. They also have no timeouts, so they need a real miracle to win. The odds are about as slim as they could get. They're just going to have to send up a prayer to the end zone, at least get rid of the ball, at least get rid of it. Well, I think you can see why Southern Miss only put up 3 points. It was not an amazing game for them. We will be seeing them in a future Imperialism next, because they are done with this one. There's also always the chance there's going to be some random comment with like 200 likes that's telling me to rebuild them, because there is for some random school on every video. It is always somebody different too that you all just like to comment on. There's never any consistency with the school. We got Marshall and Virginia Tech though. This could be a banger. I didn't realize until yesterday though, until I was watching a TikTok on it, on how in the middle of nowhere Blacksburg, Virginia is. It's like 3 hours away from any major city. I don't know, I just kind of assumed with an atmosphere in a stadium like this one, they were at least a little bit closer to a bigger metro. It was just a learning experience for me. Virginia is a lot bigger than I was thinking. Look at the ending to this one we're about to get as well. Marshall's up by 1. I should have also considered a lot of the biggest schools are in some of the most small random college towns. Like you got Penn State out there. You got Alabama and Tuscaloosa. You got Auburn, Alabama. That is literally just Auburn. I've never been to Auburn, but I'm imagining it is even smaller than what Tuscaloosa was. And that should have been an interception. The way NotTheExpert talked about it, it definitely sounded small. Here we go. 3rd and inches. They just keep on surviving. I don't know how they're in this game. Ethan Grunkmeyer has looked good. He has looked hard to stop. James Franklin is doing good things in his first year at Virginia Tech. If Marshall is not able to get them off of the field, then there is no hope for the Thundering Herd. However, they aren't calling a timeout. I don't understand why they're not calling a timeout. The Hokies are obviously in field goal range. They waited until there was 13 seconds left. It's going to be a really easy kick for them. You have to know you need time if you get the ball back. and it is in. We aren't going to see a choke job like we saw earlier. Just one last prayer for Marshall, basically. I mean, that is a really good call. Do they have it in them, though, to run a 4-second play? In real life, you cannot get away with that. However, this is a video game. Maybe Marshall can still get into field goal range if you throw it immediately, but they are just taking their chance at the end zone. This is it. Is Virginia Tech going to survive? That ball was in the air. If there was someone to run underneath of that, could have been a touchdown. We have seen it happen before, too. Anytime you see it take a deflection like that and linger in the air for that long, it is a scary spot to be in for the defense. Another small school has fallen, though. They have not gotten very lucky whenever it comes to getting some of these upsets. Auburn could be on the line, though. I was just talking about Auburn. First-year head coach in Alex Golesh, and he has to deal with Alabama for his first Imperialism game. This has to be the earliest we are getting the Iron Bowl in an Imperialism. One of these two teams is about to be out. But before that, a word from Underdog, today's video sponsor. I've been talking about and waiting for college football picks for months now. Well, the season starts this weekend. Only if you're into that type of stuff. Underdog just put up season-long predictions, not just single game ones. And then there's all these different draft modes too. I did a $3 season-long draft the other day. Here's one of my picks that I just put together, though I don't necessarily have the best hit rate, so I'm not sure I'd recommend copying me. If you do play with me on Underdog, though, using code BOARD, they will give you $50 for signing up. As long as you place a $5 entry, please make sure that you play responsibly, and let's get back to this video. I think most of us thought Auburn was going to fall here, but they are trying to pull off a last-second comeback, and they shouldn't even be in this spot. Yes, they are still trailing by 12 points, but this is a team that has been in the red zone 7 times. They just scored their first touchdown out of it. It took them that long. They had 2 turnovers there. They got held to 4 field goals, and without the onside kick, it's going to do it. There was hope for Auburn, but like most hope that Auburn gets, it is going to be shattered. Nice try. Thanks for playing. Maybe you'll get them next year. We have now been able to make it to 120 teams. So far, of course, there have been changes to the map, but most of it still looks relatively similar. We aren't that deep in yet, though at the same time, we have eliminated about 1/7 of the teams in college football. UConn is one of those that gets to reside up in the Northeast, which is a little bit easier. There's a lot of games that teams, especially Boston College, get to avoid, but UConn is not going to have that same fate. They are attacking Army. Whoever is able to survive this region the longest tends to do extremely well. It is going to be the Huskies that are going to handle Army relatively easily too. So far, I can pretty comfortably say the military schools are not putting up that great of a fight. There is still one still standing though in Navy, and we're going to head over to the state of Michigan for the first time. Of the 4 teams Michigan State can draw, 3 of them they're hoping for. They've gotten their way too, as instead of facing Michigan, they get to face one of the MAC schools. If you were there for the Grand Rapids series, it was always a good time playing all the other schools in the state. Each directional school comes with their own challenges and advantages. Central Michigan being decent. Well, it's either that or Michigan State is just not good anymore. It is probably a combination of the two. Currently, they are down by just 7, and it's a fumble. Central Michigan's guard is going to scoop it back up. It does seem like the Spartans' defense is going to hold it down. They're sending 4, and they are still generating a ton of pressure. They should have picked it. How the Chippewas got in this position, it's really starting to be confusing. They do not look like an even match, but it has come down to the wire. 4th and 20. Are they going to have any last hope? Probably a 50-50 ball, double coverage, and he can't snag it. Well, Angel Flores, that was an interesting concoction of a drive that you just put together. Just when I was going to turn into a believer, things started to fall apart, but a lot of the Central Michigan staff mess with me on Twitter, so awesome school, great place. Maybe one day I'll make it up there for a game too. I feel like since I started playing college football 27, I've said about 15 places I want to go. We barely get 15 weekends in a college football season. Gonna be hard, especially since I also want to get to Oxford. However, we are not going to Oxford for this matchup. Ole Miss is attacking UAB. They might be seen as a whole new team without Lane Kiffin, but they also retain some of their best players. It was a little bit of a boring matchup that we got here, finishing up 30-6. As college football fans, though, we're all very aware that not every game's going to be a gym. Not every game is going to be a classic. The beauty, though, is most of the time you can't predict when they're going to happen. They just do. It's a great time. We're going to Bowling Green. Actually, we are going away from Bowling Green. They are attacking to the east. They saw what Ohio State did to Akron, and I guess they said they want to take their shot at the Buckeyes. It is certainly going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for the Falcons. I basically saw it going this badly. I'm not even going to be surprised by 40-6. One of these days, though, we are going to see one of these Ohio schools shock Ohio State. That day just might take 30, 40, 50, 60 years to get here. Kentucky just got avoided. Don't scare me like that. It is too early for my team to step on the field. We're still seeing a lot of the earliest eliminations, and Liberty versus James Madison. This feels like it's a rivalry. Do I know the history behind it? No, but I am assuming, especially when both of these teams were FCS, they were at each other's throats. JMU, coming off of a playoff appearance, has a 13-point lead with almost no time left. They're not going to give up the touchdown here. So there is no very sliver 0.001% chance of Liberty coming back. They're going to get the win. For my JMU fans, though, how's their roster looking for next season? I know a lot of their guys departed, but they also probably brought in some good names. The national media is just never going to give much coverage to the G6 conferences. They're going to say that Boise State's probably going to be the best one of the bunch, and that is that. Either them or Tulane. We are on North Carolina, though. We got to see Bill Belichick going to the Northeast, at least directionally, and it is still going to connect us with Duke, so we're getting the rivalry, just not in basketball. Very soon, though, there might be a college basketball imperialism with 2K coming out with their own game. Maybe then we'll get a little bit of a better game and score, because this one was not good. 35-14, the Bill Belichick college experiment has failed, but he's preoccupied with other things, and I can't even blame him. He's just living his best life at this point, and we are going to see Pittsburgh or Purdue. It's going to be Purdue. Most of the time, if I say Purdue and it has to do with football, not too many people are getting excited. Imagine the scenes if they're able to knock out Indiana in this imperialism, though. That would change a lot. I will say we're kind of on a streak of blowouts right now. This could be another. I was hoping for the opposite. It just didn't go that way. 41-21. I really just want to see one more good finish tonight, and then I will be out cold asleep. Who is going to give it to us? It wasn't going to be Purdue. It might not be Ole Miss. It all depends where this is pointed, though. If they get a hard matchup, it could be a good game. This might be seen as the opposite of a hard matchup, though. It is Arkansas State. Then again, I feel like we are due for an upset. Let's give the 74 overall team a little bit of our hope. That's about all that the Red Wolves had. This one finished 41-14. They got beat so bad I didn't even have the time to harp on the waterfalls in their stadium like it is the coolest thing ever. It's just another loss, and do we think Middle Tennessee State is going to give us another banger? You know, they had an exciting ending against Kennesaw State. They closed it out defensively. It is going to be a rivalry matchup as well between the Blue Raiders and the Hilltoppers. This is the game I was talking about, 100 miles of hate. When they play it in Bowling Green next, I need to be there. It's not like Murfreesboro is really that bad of a drive either. You're 30 minutes outside Nashville. You spend the night in Nashville. You have a good time on Broadway. I was just down there a couple weeks ago. Gotta say, parts of Nashville, definitely a vibe. 4th and 10 for Middle Tennessee, though. They really have struggled to score a lot in this imperialism. They do catch it. The issue is they'd spend another 50 seconds not even coming close to the end zone as Western Kentucky closes it out. You know, at least they were able to get a win before they were eliminated in this imperialism. Most teams can't even say that. It's honestly not a great result for Western Kentucky either, because now they're touching 10 different programs that could attack them. It looks like Texas Tech is already having to play again. It is somehow as well going to be against New Mexico, who has worked so hard for all this territory, but the Red Raiders won it. Will the Lobos be able to hang on to their land? Will they be able to pull off a huge upset here? You know, for a moment, I thought maybe they had it at 17-10, but Texas Tech was able to score, and they're stepping up defensively too. They actually were really impressive with the way they hung around in this one, but at the end, it is all falling apart. One thing I am noticing is these quarterbacks, they do not want to send up any last-second hopes. They are willing to just take sack after sack. Throw it. Be willing to risk an interception. It's better than nothing. The New Mexico defense really did their best, but this Red Raiders defense has also been extremely tough. They even got an interception at the very end there. That is going to do it for the Lobos. It's unfortunate. We now have a new team with the biggest territory. Texas Tech is making strides early on, but with there being 110 teams still left on the map, is that going to hinder their chances of winning the entire thing? That's what we're going to find out. We have a long way to go until there's just one team left. We are going to see FIU coming up. I had a special series with them last year, and we'll see if I got that team in a good enough spot to win. I will say they've gotten a little bit unlucky with this draw because they're going to have to take on Miami. This is a real tough one. The Hurricanes were in the national championship last year. They've returned players like Malachi Toney. They were just on a little bit of a different level, so in this 3-possession win, FIU was always far enough behind. It wasn't a nasty blowout, but the Panthers were also never threatening to win. That'll just be another school that is not able to make anything happen. They're not getting many upsets so far. Maybe it is San Diego State that can cause a little bit of chaos, though. They have an opportunity to get all this land from Arizona, including Hawaii. Going into this, there are 77 overall as well, so they're only 5 overalls worse than the Wildcats. Sure enough, with a minute left, they just forced a fumble off of that screenplay. They might have just gotten the stop that's going to win them the game. I thought Arizona was going to have a minute to march down the field, but no. This was a backwards pass, and he was never able to secure the football. That is such a huge play. Just a very interesting way for the Aztecs to be able to seal their win here. And they just took over a ton of territory. All of this land is now theirs. Arizona worked hard for it, but it is not going to last them long. That means in recent rounds, both New Mexico and Arizona, these teams that took over big territories, are now gone. I'm telling you, especially through the first half of this video, you want your team to remain as far away from this wheel as possible. Tulsa does not have that fate, though. Tulsa is going to have to do something. It looks like they are going to be attacking the Kansas Jayhawks. We have some middle of the map action going on here. It is Kansas that faces a 4th and 6, though, where they might be getting eliminated right now. They got to convert to keep their hopes alive. They're down by 8, and looks like they are going to find their tight end, but he steps out of bounds. I think Carson Bruin could have run through that defensive back, but because he wasn't careful, Tulsa's going to walk into Kansas's stadium and knock him out. What a win for the Golden Hurricane. I know Kansas isn't traditionally that good at football, but they have been making at least a little bit of progress. Just not for this Imperialism. We are going to see some more action out of Western Kentucky. No, Western Michigan. That was a tight one, but it just moved over to the Broncos spot. They are going to be going up against Michigan, so they got a tough one on their hands. About 10 overalls worse than the Wolverines. You got to play at the big house in front of over 100,000 people. What does that mean? Well, not that much apparently, because we have a treat on our hands. Western Michigan is driving down by 6. With a minute 18 remaining, the Broncos could upset the Wolverines. Look at the big house too. This place is packed out. They're bringing the stadium pulse. They are going to do everything in their power to affect the outcome of this game. I'm sure it's like 120 dBs in here at the moment, but it doesn't matter. Wait, it does. Barnett, how are you dropping that football? No one even hit you. I don't know if it's just me, but recently when playing this game, I've been noticing receivers drop literally everything that they shouldn't. It was after one of the last patches, and that's just another example. It is now 4th and 15. Western Michigan has to convert here, and it is going to be a catch, but it is going into the hands of the Wolverines. They are going to avoid the upset. It looked like they were going to collapse, but they were able to hang on strong. There were no guarantees Western Michigan was going to score a touchdown, even if they caught that one pass, but it definitely set them back. Brock Lowry is only able to do so much, and they are now out. For Florida State, though, are they going to be good this season? That is a question I would assume they're going to bounce back on, but maybe not. It has been a rough couple years ever since they got snubbed with an undefeated season from the playoff. They are going to be attacking South, though, and if you head in this direction, you have to go through Florida. EA is saying the Gators are going to be a top 25 team this year. I'm not even sure who their quarterback is, so are you able to say this? I'm sure they have an answer this close to the season, but you know it's bad when Thomas Castellanos is getting another year of eligibility, and people in the comments are saying Florida should take it. I guess when your offense contains who some are saying will be the best running back in the country, you end up still being able to get a relatively easy win. 31-10. 2 interceptions for Bryce Thornton, too. You know what, though? It is all starting to make a little bit of sense. Ashton Daniels is going to be FSU's quarterback. It might be another long season. You really never know what you're going to get out of a QB that has bounced around to multiple systems, though. He's either going to continue to not be that good, or he's going to shine because he fits the system real well. It is all a toss-up. Imperialism is really just edging me so hard for this season. I need college football to start immediately. I miss it so much, and then we're going to blink, and we're going to be at the end of the season again. For Ole Miss, they're looking to expand a little bit more. This time they are taking on Arkansas. There's another series I can call out from last year. Rebuilding the worst team in the SEC, like the last decade of Razorback football, has been a huge letdown. They have some money there, though. It really didn't take me too long to turn them around. With them having a 50-9 loss here, it might be another long season for Arkansas. They are simply not doing anything in this imperialism, and a weird but interesting fact that I've noticed is how many teams that start with an A have been eliminated. We still haven't even reached a top 100, and the only one that is still left on the map is the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's a really weird coincidence, though. There are 10 teams that start with an A in college football, and 9 of them are already out, and Ole Miss has to play again. It is like they have a magnet to their name or something. They cannot stop attacking, especially to the west. They are about to take over even more territory too, if they can handle Tulsa, because that's who's next. This is a lot of expanding for them, but they are one of the rosters that can handle playing in a ton of games. I at least thought that way, but this has been a tough one for the Rebels. They are trailing by 2 with 1.5 minutes remaining. What is Trinidad Chambliss going to be able to come up with? Can't miss that tackle. You know, they were still able to bring him down in bounds. Ole Miss has no timeouts remaining, so it's not the end of the world. The issue is you are really just going to have to keep them out of field goal range so they don't have to get as far as driving all the way down for a touchdown. It is now 3rd and 3. They got the hurricane sirens blasting before the play, and they are going to be able to convert. That's the missed tackle I'm talking about. It's a little bit of a difference maker, but they've spent 30, 40 seconds getting just 10 yards. They're going to have to do more than this if they want to get a field goal. We want to see some throws targeted to the sideline. You got to get out of bounds or find the seam. Tulsa made that way too easy on them, and they're going to tackle him in bounds again. Just 20 seconds remaining now. Ole Miss is about to get upset unless they can get a huge play here to put them in field goal range. Stepping up in the pocket, they make the throw on the run, and they get out of bounds. They might have just done it. Tulsa might have just ruined their chances of the upset. It was a near perfect play. I mean, this is going to be a very long kick. Tulsa's also able to ice them. We will see if they are able to hit it. From 57 yards out, is Ole Miss going to survive, or are they done? That one is good, unfortunately, if you're rooting for the upset. It is a shame, man. They played so well, and it's going to amount to nothing. It would take a real miracle with just 3 seconds left to be able to win this one here. I think Ole Miss is going to be okay. It is just more territory for them, but they are very vulnerable. It was a close call for them. They are going to have to perform better moving forward, especially with all these schools touching them. They have 14 different teams on their border. There are so many colleges that are surrounding them. Baylor is not one of them, though. I think they're a little bit farther away. Still somewhat of a close call. This one is going to get them running into Sam Houston. We actually just saw a really cool deal with the Bearcats. Another YouTube channel, Snapback Sports, signed a jersey patch deal, so they're going to be on their jersey the entire season. Has the Snapback money helped out Sam Houston? It might have. I mean, they've kept it competitive. DJ Lagway and Baylor are only up by 8. And also seeing another creator, I guess creators being able to do something like that, it's really inspiring. It made me sit there thinking, what would I do to get Bordeaux as a patch across another team's jersey? It would be really neat. Too late to make anything happen this season, but I might try to explore a little bit into that coming up. And there's the interception. That is going to do it. Baylor is going to beat Sam Houston. Seriously, though, it would be so cool to work with a college program like that. I didn't even think it was ever a possibility, but now that whole partnership has opened up my eyes to it. For Baylor, they've carved out a little bit more territory here in Texas, just increasing the chance they get attacked. They live to see another day, and the next team that might not live to see another day is Duke. They were already able to fight off the Tar Heels, though. It looks like now they have to worry about another in-state rival, NC State, who they're attacking. One thing that stinks for the Blue Devils is even though they won the ACC last year, they still lost their quarterback to Miami. It hasn't really affected their program if they're winning this one 34-10, though. You know, either NC State and Duke haven't played that much in football, or Duke has just been that bad as a football program long-term versus NC State, because they only have 5 rivalry wins over the Wolfpack. That was a wild stat to see. That was one of the ones that they were able to get, though, and we got Wyoming. They have a chance at not actually needing to attack. When there's an unclaimed state, states can take it over instead, but that arrow is directing them towards Nebraska. I feel bad for the Cowboys, but they are going to have a tough one coming up here. It looks like Nebraska is going to win this one 38-13. And that's who they've had to get at quarterback, because my team, Kentucky, stole Kenny Minchie from them. The NIL world is a wild one in college football. Sometimes it works out for you, sometimes it doesn't. It is fun when it does, though, and that is going to give Nebraska a lot of territory, as this is the top 100 for college football 27 imperialism. Every year I do this, it just takes longer and longer to even get this far, because more and more teams keep moving up to FBS, Navy's been landed on. This might legitimately be it for the military schools. They are going to have to take down Maryland. I don't think we have ever seen them all get out this fast. This one is for the best team in the state of Maryland, and it is called the Crab Bowl Classic. They must love crab up there. We didn't get a competitive game between the two. Maryland wins by 28. Malik Washington, though, he has been performing well. The Terrapins are looking to make a deeper run. They got some big schools around them, though. You got West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Koch State, James Madison. Any of those programs could threaten them. We are going to now see Nebraska again. The Cornhuskers, who just took the field, are going to have to again. This time going for a big territory claim, the entire state of Idaho. We are about to find out how good Boise State is actually going to be this season. They're an 80 overall. Nebraska is an 83. That home field advantage has carried them into overtime, though, and we'll see if they can win. 1st and 10 for the Cornhuskers. They have the ball first. We are all tied up 20-20. And with a clean pocket, you're going to be able to get that football out. Anthony Colandrea could not have asked for better protection than he just got. Boise State is going to try and stuff the run in. They did a good job. Mekhi Nelson hasn't really been able to run the football. 13 carries for 38 yards in this matchup. They do another run on 3rd down, and they might kick. It's 4th and inches, but they are going to trust their defense instead of going for it. Boise State just got put in a really nice position, especially if they're going to run like this. I mean, there's no reason for them to throw the football if they're getting 7-8 yards a pop. They only got one receiver out wide. I mean, we know exactly where this one is going. The cutback is going to get them in. And I'm starting to wonder how Nebraska only held Boise State to 20 points in this game up until this moment, because the Broncos are winning. They were not willing to get eliminated this early. Nebraska is just going to have to take their ball home. Watch the rest of this one from the couch. This is what happens out west throughout imperialism, too. A lot of these schools get much bigger territories than you can in the east. There is so much distance between some of those schools. There is just so much more land out west that doesn't feel developed. Heading back to Georgia State, though, a team that plays inside a baseball stadium. They will be going up against rivals Georgia Southern. This one is called Modern Day Hate. After Georgia Southern takes some BTA from Georgia State, they're going to hate them a little bit more too. You know what though? That is what the Eagles deserve for having some of the most boring jerseys in college football. I will stand on that. That is legitimately probably the main reason you will never see a Georgia Southern rebuild on my channel. We've done Washington State though. The poor school got left behind in the Pac-12. They are already taking a chance at trying to get all the land that Boise State just got too. This is what I'm saying. The Broncos are going to have to hang on to this with dear life. It isn't going to be very hard for them to beat Washington State, at least. 38-6. Never a contest. It's just a little extra land for them. You got Oregon State, Washington, and Oregon is some of the most feared teams on their border. They also border some unclaimed states, so they might be able to avoid having to attack someone if they get landed on. Troy does not have that luxury. They're just in the middle of Alabama. We are going to see a familiar college popping up, though, as they are attacking Georgia State. The Panthers are coming off of a win where I thought they looked incredibly impressive. Troy has figured out how to stop their offense, though, and if they could score, they'd be in an amazing spot. Instead, they only have 7 points, but here at the end of the game, they have made it all the way into the end zone as Georgia State can't tackle. They're going down by 1. You can watch as Mojo Dortch just evades that defender. Had me thinking he's Greg Dortch. What if they're brothers? That'd be pretty cool. I mean, it's just a nice move. I'm trying to think of why I'm even familiar with Greg Dortch's name. I'm pretty positive he just popped off 1 week or two unexpectedly for my fantasy football team one year. He could either be crushing it in the NFL now or barely making a roster. I have no idea. 25 seconds for the Panthers to get a field goal. They have 3 timeouts, which is major. They can definitely get down the field. They probably need another 30 yards, and that would have been 15. That was also a pretty challenging catch to make. This one was not. We don't know the range of the Panthers kicker, so they could need like another 20 still. It'll never happen with Troy getting the interception. Troy is going to make sure they are eliminated. The baseball stadium is not going to survive any more of imperialism. If you look around, though, it is a unique place for college football to be taking place. You have these stands here, then you have the actual baseball stands behind them as well. I mean, just a massive place. After taking a closer look at it, my thoughts are, when was the last time that place was that packed out? I don't ever hear too much about Georgia State, so I'm assuming it isn't typically, but there are other small schools like App State that crushes it. My one little weekend in Boone will have me glazing them forever. What about poor UTSA though? Well, they're gonna have to deal with Texas, one of the only colleges that plays in a dome, and they got a rough draw. It is going to finish 41-7. Arch Manning had himself a day. 250 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. No underdog upset hopes for UTSA as they are done. That is a very challenging one for them to get, though. We are going to see USF have to do something. Will it be a tough matchup, though? Well, that is going to be determined by the wheel. Just like UTSA, they're pretty unlucky as this is headed towards Miami. They also just lost their head coach and their quarterback. Back when I lived down in Tampa, my dad, a Miami fan, I took him to a game against USF, and it went somewhat similar to that. Darian Mensah did whatever he wanted. When we went, it was during the Cam Ward days, and at first I thought USF might actually keep it more competitive, but then it just blew open. The second half was not very kind to the Bulls. It wasn't kind to them in that game either. Vanderbilt, though, what are they going to do without Diego Pavia? I wonder if they're still going to be good. I know that they signed a 5-star quarterback. Memphis is a nice test. They should be able to handle the Tigers, but they're going to give them some pushback. It looks like EA has the Commodores as an 81 overall, Memphis a 77. With 8 seconds left, the Tigers are down by 10, so they really need this to go their way, and it almost took the right bounce. Instead, though, that 4th down was not successful. I would argue they should have just kicked a field goal, then gone for the onside kick, but they decided not to. Not too shocking of a result right here. This whole area has started to have a lot of teams expand. Jacksonville State can probably see the writing on the wall, but as long as this wheel avoids them for now, they're good. You know who is not good? Kentucky. We have to attack. I am going to have faith, though, in Will Stein. Are we going to be able to take down Louisville? This is a new look roster for us, but the Cardinals are 3 overalls better. They also get to host. I think Louisville has knocked Kentucky out of the last couple college football imperialisms as well, but this run is going to put us on the 24. CJ Baxter doing big things. We still need a little bit more for that go-ahead touchdown. No timeouts either is what's going to really become a problem here. Kenny Minchie needs to snap this ball as soon as possible. Just 16 seconds left now. We're in 5 wide. I see a potential touchdown. He throws it, and we are going to make the catch. Willie Rodriguez is going to save Kentucky football as long as we don't have something stupid happen in the final 8 seconds. We will be in imperialism. This throw going to make it to the 30, but that's fine. You knock it out, you get the rivalry win, and the Governor's Cup is going to Lexington. I hope that is foreshadowing for what Kentucky's season is going to be like. We do have a really tough schedule. You know, the SEC does not make things easy for us. We are going to head up to Syracuse. This is one of those teams in the Northeast that could take over the entire thing. For now, it's just going to be them versus Buffalo. We have another MAC team playing. Are they going to be able to represent the conference? I'll tell you right now, not doing an amazing job of it on offense. They have been able to hold Syracuse to just 9 points in this game. However, since they have not been able to get on the board, they need this 4th and 6. Hope stay alive. Then they get on another 4th down just a few plays later. They might kick 3. From the 35, it would be a long kick. Maybe going for it is the right choice. Gonna scramble for it, but once again, gotta score. Just start sending up some shots to the end zone or something. Literally dropping back into your running back. They were just inside of each other there, and neither one of them flinched. Neither one of them moved. It's like they just wanted to be there. 22 seconds left. Are we gonna see some magic from Buffalo? If anything, all I've learned from this game is Syracuse's defense could be nasty. This is probably going to be the final play, and that's when they make it in. Is there still a second left on the clock, though? Is there still some hope? No. It turns out time ran out at the final second. It was all for nothing, but at least they didn't get held to 0. Not an amazing look for Buffalo, that's for sure, but sometimes that is just how it has to go. They were a long way off from winning imperialism anyway. There are so many more teams that still need to be eliminated. We haven't even made it to the halfway mark yet. And I think another MAC school is coming up. Where will Toledo be attacking, though? Will it be a big program, or will it be another conference opponent? It looks like they want to take their chance at Ohio State. Every one of these MAC schools is trying. To even see one of them just give them a scare would be more than worth it. Typically, Toledo is one of the better schools in the MAC, but they did not perform in this one. I saw GFed saying that Toledo isn't supposed to be that great this year, though, and non-ball knowers will just assume they are still, so take that for what you will. I think the Rockets lost a lot of their team, which is obviously going to have an impact. Penn State gets landed on. Some interesting stuff has been happening there recently. They're going to be trying to knock out Pittsburgh in this matchup. We're about to find out how well they were able to reload. They find themselves with a 3-point lead with a minute left, but if Pittsburgh has a good drive here, they could come back, and they throw an interception. First play they just turn it over and lose the game. The Panthers have 1 timeout. They can't do anything. I just can't believe that that is how they decided to start that drive. I thought we were about to get peak content. Instead, you just get typical Bordeaux content. We move on, though, to somewhere else in the country. It is going to be BYU. You know, apparently there has been some ad playing on YouTube that has to do with converting people to Mormonism. I'm not sure if my channel has also been getting hit with those, but if they hear that BYU is being featured in this video, it might start it. There's always something too. Last year, it was the Discover ads because they wanted to target college football fans, I think. Turns out my audience demographic is exactly what they want. Gee, I wonder why. I don't get to control what ads get shown. Kind of funny to think EA could pay to promote their game on a video where I'm also crapping on their game. But this one wasn't exciting. UNLV just got folded by BYU. It's another small school just struggling against the bigger programs, the rosters that are a little bit more loaded. The talent gap between the two has definitely widened a little bit over the past few seasons. For Syracuse, they were just playing a couple games ago. They are now getting the benefit of being the first state that is just going to get to claim the open land because this is the closest territory to them. You know, there's a chance they're the school that runs the Northeast this time around. Like I was saying, it is always Boston College. Maybe it will be a little bit different. For Cincinnati, they got to attack north. It will be just another program taking their chance at Ohio State, but maybe they can do it. Although the Buckeyes have 11 overall advantage, it's not as much of a freebie. If you root for Cincinnati, though, you might want to close your eyes. 44-0. They beat Cincinnati worse than the MAC schools. It doesn't get too much worse than that. Just not a good showing for the Bearcats. I thought they might show up for that game, and they did the complete opposite. For Alabama, the last team that starts with an A, we are about to see if they can win another. They will be attacking RBT's South Alabama. I'd shoot him a text on who he'd think would win this one, but I feel like by the time he'd answer, this one's already going to be over. There is just no answer defensively for a lot of these smaller schools taking on the bigger programs. Alabama just did whatever they wanted to South Alabama for 60 minutes. That is just the way that it goes, though. We're going to have the wheel taking us to Washington. You know, we already saw Washington State fall. Washington is attacking in the same direction. This is a big matchup for them. They could take all of Boise State's territory. We also saw this offseason their quarterback trying to escape their program. Maybe that hindered their offense a little bit because they've not been able to keep up with the Broncos. 38-28, 10 seconds left. If Washington was smart, they'd kick a field goal and go for the onside kick. But we don't see teams do that. Instead, they are never going to get off another snap, and Boise State is going to be able to survive this attack as well. I have to say, they have been pretty impressive so far. They might have the biggest territory. It's either them or Texas Tech. It has to be them, though. It just has to be. There are lots of teams out west they probably don't have to worry about, but then there's programs like Oregon that you don't want to play. Their land also extends basically to Missouri, too. There was always a slim chance this pointed up and touched it, but no, the arrow instead is headed in the opposite direction. Missouri will be facing Indiana. The Tigers are just going to have a tough one here, plain and simple. I will say Missouri just made this one very interesting with 18 seconds left, but it's probably too late. They were able to score a touchdown, but they need this onside kick, and Indiana recovers. For whatever reason, at the end of the game, the Tigers were running the football too, so their drive was taking a lot longer than it should have. It's just an interesting quirk that I've noticed. No team down by 10 with a minute and a half left is running the football 8 times in a row, but it's the way the EA has it coded. It's not like it's just this title that has that problem either. I've noticed it in the Super Sim menu for the last 3 years. At least we have some more good news for Syracuse, who might have just gotten more land. I mean, there's nobody else up here for them to attack, but if they head in this direction, they're going to run into New Hampshire or Vermont. It is very alarming. I can't figure out which of those 2 states it is, but I think it's Vermont. New Hampshire is a little bit smaller. We might see Oregon State running into Boise State too right here. It's just every single team that's getting landed on up in the Northwest wants to face them. The Beavers are hoping to do a better job than what Washington just did a few rounds ago. For a while, Oregon State actually had a lead in this one, but Boise State's offense came alive in the 4th quarter, and now they're trying anything. With 2 timeouts left, the Beavers aren't completely out of this game, but they do need to score a touchdown fast. I actually saw a streak that got open, but when Malik Murphy just decides he's going to run over 2 dudes to get into the end zone, and we'll see if they can do the comeback. I think this play is worth watching a second time as well, just because at the very end, the way that he finished this one off was so tough. He said, "You are not stopping me from getting in." What is going to matter is this onside kick. For them to have the best chance, they aren't going to get it. At least they'll still have an opportunity to get the football with their 2 timeouts. They'd have about 20 seconds left if they could have stopped the run. No need to worry about that, though, because Dylan Riley just ended the game. That one's on Oregon State. They could have been great, but now they're just going to be another team that gets forgotten in this video that didn't do too much. It is never a fun experience to blow a game in the fourth quarter. It's painful to sit through as a fan. And we're going to go to California. San Jose State around the Bay Area is going to be attacking north. With how I've set this map up, they're going to have to deal with Stanford. I'll tell you what, though, from my short time a couple months ago in the San Francisco area, I would have killed to go to college at either one of those schools. The Bay Area is very cloudy and it's very gray, but San Francisco itself, fun city to walk around. I will say, putting you all onto a little bit of game, as San Jose State needs to get in field goal range with this one winding down by 1. I was just walking around with my girl there, and all of a sudden run into this fountain. Middle of the city, not planned at all. There's this fountain, there are these lights up hanging everywhere, and all of a sudden there's just this whole romantic setup that I totally wasn't expecting, but worked out amazing. Is San Jose State going to be able to catch this? No. It is now 3rd and 10, and they might not get the field goal, even though they're on the 47. From where we hopped into this game, you would think, oh, Stanford's done. This is not the Stanford team that I used to see back in the early 2010s, but they might still be able to get a sack, okay? Can't catch it here. I'm not sure why he had that horrible attempt at the ball. I mean, it was obvious where it was going. I mean, coach has to take him off after that. There's no way you can leave him out there. 4th and 10, double coverage. He's not open. We just witnessed a disaster class from Luke Weaver. Stanford's gonna win. There is no way to put whatever all of that was. That was disgusting. That is what you all think you're talking about when you say my gameplay's hard to watch. I think that is just a nice reminder. It could be worse. Be grateful for what you're getting. We are down to just 80 teams in this Imperialism, so we have already seen 58 get eliminated. Tulane will be the next one having to make moves, and I think they're trapped. Unfortunately for them, where they are sitting in Louisiana with how this map is set up, the only way for them to get out is to go through LSU. So even though it's pointing this way, they gotta go this way. In the future, maybe I'll portion out their land a little bit differently. It's always been like that. You can let me know any other teams in the comments I should also do that for. Look at this rivalry trophy, though. Battle for the Rag, that's pretty dope. We also might get an incredible ending here, as Tulane is only losing by 7, and they are going to be at the 20. You know, if you bring out jerseys like that, you got to perform. We will see if Lane Kiffin's team has any response for Caden Samanza and the rest of this Green Wave offense. They aren't going to run it. I honestly thought they were going to, and that's going to be knocked out. 2nd and 10. Man-to-man coverage. It is kind of locking down here. It is kind of locking down. You know, I feel a little less hope for them. That won't even be catchable. LSU seems like they might be okay. Hang on. Hang on. No! That was definitely it. That was it. He put a hand up to catch it, but he just wasn't able to bring it in. A little off target. The Tigers are going to survive and put out Tulane. You know, it's a tough matchup to have, but it is also the most respectable way to go out. They are the team in Louisiana that had the best chance at knocking out LSU. For the rest of them, they're just hoping to not play them. Western Kentucky getting even more action here. They will be heading south to take on Vanderbilt. Both of these teams have already proven early on that they can win. What has happened here has shocked me more than anything else we have seen so far. Vanderbilt has not scored a single point on Western Kentucky, and they are at home. It is 23-0. They're going to avoid the safety, so it's not going to get worse. You know, there is somewhat of an explainable reason why Vanderbilt might not have done that well, though. For whatever reason, EA has their starting quarterback as Dylan Carter, somebody that does not exist in real life. This is not a real player. This is an SEC school, and you can't even get their starting quarterback right. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know what, though? It is good news for Western Kentucky because they get to move on. They got blessed with their opponent, and the next team that will be attacking is going to be LSU again. You already know what I said about other teams in the state of Louisiana. They're not going to be facing them. Instead, they have been directed towards Mississippi State. We got ourselves a little rivalry with a decent amount of territory on the line. Tulane showed us that LSU is beatable, and we're seeing it again. Those cowbells are going crazy. It is 2nd and 8. Overtime, these teams were tied at the end of regulation. Sam Levitt was able to make something happen there, and they're going back to the air. He might scramble, immediately going down. You know, I feel like in real life, he might have tried to run over that guy, but maybe that's just me. They're going to have an RPO that gets them in on the next play anyway. How are the Bulldogs going to be able to respond to that? Kamario Taylor rushed for 3 yards on 1st down. Simply put, not much you can do in that situation on the next play. At least he didn't lose the football in the process. 3rd and 17, and that's going to be the freest pick of all time. He just threw him a hamburger. LSU is going to be able to survive yet another close one. Their defense has been scary. When the pressure is on, they have been able to deliver. They sure get pressure to the quarterback. We have seen a lot of guys just not be able to handle the limited amount of time that they get. When it comes to Houston football, I don't know what to think of this team. They will be heading over to face the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. With their 83 overall roster, it seems like they're cooking up something good. They just won this one 45-14. Louisiana was not able to stop Connor Wegman. Since he has transferred there, he's found some success. It has been a nice landing spot. We are now just one game away from having a top 75. We're sticking in the state of Texas for this one. Well, at least starting there. It does seem like the Red Raiders are attacking in state 2 as they're going up against North Texas. Rumor has it they really want Thomas Castellanos, so he'll probably be a backup quarterback for the Red Raiders. For a while, North Texas tried to stay in this game, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't keep up. That is going to be the end of their Imperialism chances. Here we have our top 75 in this Imperialism, and we have basically made it to the halfway point. There is still so much more chaos to come, especially the farther and deeper we get. For Nevada, they haven't had to do anything so far, but now they do. They actually have the exact same land colors as BYU, but only one of these teams' logos will be on the map after this. We already saw what the Cougars did to UNLV, another small school in the state. I was kind of afraid this game might look like this, and that's exactly how it went. It was LJ Martin that performed better, though, not Bear Bachmeyer. Their teams just got multiple guys that are going to give it to you. You never know what direction you're going to catch it from. One of the teams you definitely want to avoid out west, and they almost got to play again. It'll be Cal instead, though. They already knocked out Sacramento State. With Oregon being the next straw, they have a little bit of a tougher matchup. I knew at some point somebody was going to try and take down the Ducks. They are another big threat out west, but they still have to be able to survive. Teams like California. JKS has the Golden Bears in a golden position. Trailing by 6, already got them to midfield. They could pull off the upset. He has also thrown 3 interceptions at the same time, though, so we could be seeing his 4. You have to be willing to take those chances. Looks like he is going to roll out to the left side as a lefty, and he should get out of bounds here at the 30. He is a playmaker. He is going to make stuff happen. Oregon dropping back into a cover 4. That'll get them another 8 yards, but the clock is probably going to run to about 25 seconds. That is exactly what happened, and it's going to work out if they can catch this. It would have made more sense to take the drag underneath, but he could have been caught up too as well. Man-to-man coverage from Oregon's very interesting. They trust their guys to stick with these Cal receivers. Maybe a different look on 4th down, and he's going to thread the needle. Oregon is most likely about to lose this game. Cal is going to have the upset. It'll all come down to this extra point. They still need to hit the extra point, but what are the odds that they have it blocked or that they miss? It's got to be low. Dorian Thomas with the great route, and JKS finds him. You know, this game, it has just been a classic. There is still 11 seconds. I don't want to act like that's not any time at all. We have seen that be a difference maker before. But if Oregon is going to take out this kick, you better have a lot of faith in your returner. There's not really a chance they're able to get into field goal range. You just want to take a chunk of it away with a catch here. Instead of swatting the ball, though, they went for the pick. That is how the ball bounces into another receiver's hands, and you got some problems there. You just need to swat that one down. I got to learn that lesson too myself. This is it, though. Oregon most likely eliminated from Imperialism here. What a win for Cal on the road to knock out Dan Lanning and the Ducks. That is really going to have a large impact on what team could be the last one standing on the west side of the United States. In most Imperialisms, it is Oregon, but they are no longer there. And is Notre Dame going to get eliminated too? I think it'd be really funny if this put them up against Northern Illinois. It couldn't have. Northwestern was in the way anyway, but they're going to be going up against Indiana. That means either way, we are guaranteed to see another big name get knocked out. We're not getting back-to-back classics, though. Notre Dame won this one 41-7. After not getting a spot in the college football playoff, this team is coming out with a vengeance. If I'm Ohio State, I am hoping to avoid them as long as possible. Those two schools are bordering, and it is going to be East Carolina. It seemed like Duke was going to have to play again. They still could, depending where this is pointing. What do I know? That is the exact outcome that we are getting. Most of the time, because there's so many schools in a smaller area, a lot of these North Carolina ones stick around for a while. This time, they've just been cannibalizing each other, and if East Carolina can't beat Duke, I don't think they need to be marking down Bama on their schedule. I do like all the different celebrations you see between the players and the mascots this year. I'll give EA their props there. We are not done seeing Duke either. They've already been able to pick up a few wins. We'll see how far they go. Manny Diaz must have been able to reload a little bit there. we're going to have a Jacksonville State landing. The school I said was trying to avoid the wheel is going to have to deal with it. It was either play Ole Miss, Alabama, or Western Kentucky, though, so they kind of lucked out. They did get the game that gives them the highest chance of staying in Imperialism. That doesn't mean it went their way. They are trailing by 3 with such little time remaining. Coming off a Caden Creel touchdown pass, they have an opportunity to get the onside kick and still come back, but they do not. Instead, the legend of the Hilltopper lives on. He is going to see another day. Western Kentucky has done it again, but how long are they going to be able to keep this up for? Eventually, we might see them going up against an Ole Miss, or even an Alabama. Speaking of Alabama, that's where Troy's from. This could be against them. I guess it's a little bit better to have to face Florida instead. I still wouldn't consider it a win for the Trojans. It's going to be difficult either way. You know, there was a period where Troy was leading this game, and then in the second half it was erased as they never scored again. In fact, if you look at the team stats, it is very apparent who was supposed to come out on top. I don't know how they managed to hold the Gators scoreless for a half, but they did. That doesn't win you games, though. That does not keep you in Imperialism like all these teams have been able to do, as they have made it past the halfway point. There is still a nice number of 69 teams remaining. Georgia Tech is about to be on the line. They had a top-tier tweet the other day. We'll see if they can play that way. Their admin decided to say they're not anybody's side hoe. Well, they are heading to the swamp just like Troy was. You know, I think it has hit me. I might be a little bit too chronically online, though, since these are the things that I am aware of. I know it's my job and all, but it could still be time to touch some grass. On a 4th and 8, Georgia Tech makes the catch. They have kept their hopes alive, but they're down by 10 with 20 seconds remaining. There just hasn't been a good enough push out of them to score points. Are we going to see him get mossed now? They're hitting Johnson with the defensive pass interference penalty. I'm not sure it was. We are setting up to see a similar situation we've seen through a couple games already, though, where a team gets a touchdown at the last second, and then they need the onside kick. Will Georgia Tech get lucky here? Is Florida going to mess it up? They do! They do! Why are you running past the ball? Why did 2 guys not get the ball? That should have been recoverable. They should have had a slight opportunity to get into field goal range. I can't believe it. I really thought that we were about to see the onside kick recovery and a miracle coming, but instead, Georgia Tech is just getting eliminated. That right there reminds me of something like when Cam Newton wouldn't want to pounce on the ball. You got to put your body on the line. For Alabama, they're putting their team on the line with another attack. This one comes against LSU, and there was a time when I was growing up when this game was must-see TV no matter what. It sure would be this year. Just setting this up in a video game gives me the itch. I can only imagine watching this on TV. If I sit down and the score of it is 42-10 though, I will be thoroughly disappointed. This was not a classic. Sam Leavitt did whatever he wanted to Alabama. Therefore, every school that starts with an A has been eliminated from Imperialism. Maybe they will have better luck in the next one. I also can do a mascot Imperialism this year. There's so much more I can do. That just sounds like such a banger. I haven't been able to do it since NCAA Football 14. It looks like the 3rd directional school in Michigan could be in some trouble too. The Wolverines will travel to the Gray Field to try and knock out the Eagles. There might be days where the factory is tough. It just wasn't tough in this one. 33-12, Jordan Marshall runs all over them. There are now just 2 schools remaining in the state, and I am sure they'll play soon. We will see how long it takes for the wheel to get us back there. It is going to get us to Florida. They love the Gators. They have had to play so many times so far, and it's not stopping. Either them or Miami is about to have to do something here. And this is not good news for the Hurricanes. With where they start on the map, they're another one of those teams that can sometimes avoid having to play in too many games. They are now going to be exposed to a lot more, but at least they're going to survive this one. Aaron Philo would literally have to lead 2 drives of his lifetime with an onside kick recovery between to get them back. He couldn't even connect with Vernell Brown III there, though, so that'll be the end. It's definitely going to cause a substantial change to the map. Florida didn't control a small amount of territory. Like I was saying, too, Miami is now a lot more exposed to LSU, to Western Kentucky, to Georgia than they would like to be. I've noticed Boston College is still sitting up there in the Northeast. I have not forgotten about them. I would not want to be dealing with Houston, though, if I were any of these teams. They're going to be going up against DJ Lagway and Baylor. It's a nice little Big 12 game for us that would be even better in basketball. Baylor fought hard to get the football back and have a last-second chance at coming back against Houston, but they are going to have another challenge coming up. How do you make it down the field in about 40 seconds with no timeouts? At least DJ Lagway was able to get rid of that one. He's going to step up here, and he won't make it to the first down marker. 3rd and 6. I mean, they're going to get the first down. I just don't think they're getting off another snap. That is going to be it for this rivalry. Houston is taking it home. I told you they're going to be a team to fear in this Imperialism. I'm low-key picking them to make an underdog run to the top 10. That is my prediction. If they get blasted by Texas A&M in a few games, we can just act like I never said that. We're going to have TCU next. Lots of teams around Texas getting some action. Could be a huge territory mover too if the Horned Frogs can steal from Texas Tech. The battle for the saddle is more important than ever. The performance that TCU put up was worse than ever. You know, at least they scored 13 points in the second half because it was even looking worse than that. That was certainly a letdown, just the way that it goes sometimes. It's a little bit more land for Texas Tech, and we just avoided Michigan. Minnesota hasn't had to do anything so far. Neither have any of the other northern states. You got Wisconsin around here, Iowa around here, nothing changing, even North Dakota State, but this arrow is pointing to South Dakota State. That just means another round of nothing different. Maybe we'll see one of them actually step on the field soon. It's going to move to Wake Forest. The North Carolina schools are just unable to escape the wheel. This is going to be it for them too, because only one will be standing after this game. So far, Duke has been able to handle all of these attacks extremely well. This one, they are only up by 8. And we'll see if Wake Forest can make plays like this. Gio Lopez could be leading a little bit of a comeback. I mean, he's in a rhythm. He actually started at South Alabama, then transferred to North Carolina. Now he's at Wake Forest. Will there be another stop on the way next season? I guess we will find out. For now, though, Wake Forest should want to keep him around because he is doing a lot for the program. They are already on the 10-yard line. This has been the most efficient drive we've seen in Imperialism. All the way up until that play. Halfback draw is going to get them 6 more. 4 yards is all that stands between them and the end zone. It is another scramble. They just aren't able to stop Gio Lopez at all. I guess they did for most of the game, but times have changed. I gotta say, all the greenery around Duke Stadium, it looks really good. They're going to box the speed option. Well, after all of that, Wake Forest is going to lose unless they can get this onside kick. Unless they have a little bit more luck in them. It turns out that is not going to be the case. Duke has done a good job taking down basically every school in the state of North Carolina. They said that they were going to run this state, and that is exactly what they did. They have other teams starting to surround them, though, that are going to be even more challenging. It's headed to Ohio. I would not be shocked if this is directed towards Ohio State and they play them. That is not the experience we're seeing. Instead, it is going to be touching West Virginia. They're only 4 overalls worse than the Mountaineers. This is a decent team for them to attack. Not if you are going to leave your offense back in Ohio, though. They didn't score a single point. West Virginia handled them. Cam Cook rushed all over them. I figured the Bobcats were going to bring a little bit more juice than they did, but I was wrong. I'm afraid most of the MAC schools are just not putting on very good showings so far. There can't be too many of them left either. I mean, we've seen most of them get eliminated. For Rice, they are going up against Houston, so another chance for the Cougars to get more land. If they win this one, they're basically just building a box around Texas A&M, so they have to go through them to expand anywhere else. Just like anybody would have expected, Houston obliterates Rice. I'm telling you, I'm seeing magical things out of this Houston team. I don't know why I'm riding for them, but I'm going to, and this is that box around Texas A&M. It is basically guaranteed if the wheel lands on the Aggies, they are playing Houston. Very, very slim chance it is against Texas State instead. South Carolina could be another sleeper too. Lenore Sellers is still there, Nick Harbor. Maybe those players are a little bit more useful if you're playing against one of your buddies in an online game, but they're attacking Georgia. If they can win this, they are definitely reshaping the Southeast. What I wasn't thinking would happen was that is actually how it would go, though. Georgia is down by 14 with a minute left. On a 3rd and 18, they get a little bit. Gunnar Stockton hasn't even played bad. South Carolina's just been able to outscore them. Does South Carolina still have Dylan Stewart on their defense as well? Obviously, that would help. It's knocked out. There it is, though. That will be the game-sealing stop that helps them win. That is just another really big school that I thought could win Imperialism getting eliminated. You're probably starting to see how sometimes the most random team possible could be the last team standing. Notre Dame also looked good. They might go on a tear and knock out a bunch of other schools. They want to go north. That is only going to lead to one thing. Either them or Michigan is about to be done. We already saw what they were able to do to Indiana. It is going to be a little bit different against Michigan. Bryce Underwood has a chance to lead the Wolverines down the field with a minute left. They are only trailing by 2. All they have to do is get a field goal. 3rd and inches. Looks like he is going to make this throw while moving. I thought he might just step up, get the first down himself. He could still look to scramble on 4th down. They are just going to run the ball, and Notre Dame was not ready for it. Michigan will use their final timeout, and that is actually a really big deal because even if they get into field goal range, they're not going to be able to stop the clock. Getting tackled inbounds is going to cause like another 10-15 seconds to run off. That means this is the final play. Michigan is going to lose if they don't catch it. It's a one-on-one football. And they get a hand back to stop it. I thought we were about to see a Moss for the win. That is how Notre Dame is going to seal it. You know, I'm actually very impressed. They even put that ball in that spot in the first place, so they had a chance. That was a hard one for Michigan to win. It is why they have fallen out. Oklahoma hasn't had to do a thing. They're about to start their territorial expansion, though. With their first opponent being Texas Tech, this could get really good. I will say, it is a shame that we will most likely never see this game again in real life just because they're not in the same conference. At least we are getting a game between these two that is interesting, and Oklahoma was not in. John Mateer has thrown 3 interceptions, so every second that ticks off of the clock is a less and less chance that the Sooners are able to come back. He has kind of sold them in this game. They also only have 2 timeouts, so they don't have to recover the onside kick. It is just a really big deal if they are able to get it. And he is going to throw his 4th interception in the end zone. He didn't have to force it there. He could have just gotten rid of it, but he tried it anyway. Oklahoma is just not going to be able to successfully take all that land from Texas Tech. There was a lot on the line, and they are not the first team to come up short. They probably won't be the last. We are really starting to see some of these colleges pick up a ton of territory. You're also probably taking note of some of these schools that haven't done anything. They haven't even had to play a game like Missouri State. Well, their time is up. Now they're going to have to attack somebody. It is going to be Notre Dame too. You know, they're just at a 17 overall disadvantage. If this was Inside Dynasty, it'd probably be like a 30 overall disadvantage. The Play Now ratings are a little bit kinder than they are in Dynasty. It just wasn't ever going to be close from the start. 41-9. Notre Dame had CJ Cargo for 304 touchdowns. The 1 in a million upset is not going to occur here. Maybe it'll be later in this video though. Never know what's coming. Texas A&M, we were talking about them. Are they going to be challenging Houston? Are they going up against Houston? They're not. That was the game to look forward to. I guess they're going to take out Texas State first. They're hoping to get themselves a little bit of a warm-up, but Texas State is a 77. I thought the new Pac-12 team might be able to put up a little bit of a better fight than they did. It's just going to keep getting tougher and tougher for schools like them, though. There are becoming less and less games on the map that they might be favored in. Ole Miss, it has been a while since we went with them. They were starting to expand a good bit, though, and they're going to get a chance for more. Of course, the way this is going to go down is it is going to be against LSU. I wouldn't want it any other way. I already have this game circled on my calendar for this season, but it'll be cinema here, too. LSU is down by 8 points with 35 seconds left. They have no timeouts. They are trying to put together a drive to send this one to overtime, and it's a good run from Sam Levitt. You've got to get up to the line and spike this ball as fast as possible, though. You can't get distracted by anybody. I guess they're just going to go with another play instead. You have 15 seconds left. Snap that ball, Sam. If you get out of bounds, you have a check down there. Turn upfield, turn upfield. He's not going to make it. That is actually going to be it. LSU's not going to get a chance at another play. They're going to fall. Well, it is going to be a long day for Lane Kiffin. That is not the result that he needed, and there is so much more land for Ole Miss. They have been bordering so many schools this entire imperialism, and yet they have continued to stay in it. It hasn't really been an issue for them, and I honestly thought it was going to be. Finally, it is time for Iowa. We have been kept away from this state for far too long. I guess you could say the same about Minnesota, as they're going to have to deal with this attack. The Cyclones did lose most of their roster, so I don't expect them to win. This is about how I thought it was going to be. Iowa State was only able to score 7 points. Here at the very end, I thought they were throwing another pick. Either way, 30-7 is the final score. Drake Lindsey had almost 200 passing yards with 3 touchdowns. Most importantly to Minnesota fans, though, they get the win. And they showed so much love on my rebuild to them last season, I might have to give them another one this year. I was out the other night, and it was recommended, so at least put it back on my radar. North Dakota State, you are not safe either. It is time for the Bison Nef to play their first game of imperialism. Or maybe not. I guess Montana's going to be claimed, and I've put them in the FCS imperialisms, but it's never been the official roster. This year, when I eventually do that with Project FCS, all those teams will have the official roster, which is nice. Not Kentucky. Don't do this to me. We've already made it decently far. You know what? I will take it. Western Kentucky, count your days. They might be numbered because we are attacking. It would actually be so bad, though, if we were not able to knock them out here. At least it is going to finish 31-13. I'm sure not going to brag about it. I'm not going to get too excited about it. We still got a long way to go if Kentucky's going to do anything meaningful. We have just stayed around for another round, which is better than nothing. And is this the first game Rutgers plays in? No. It is San Diego State instead that is going to have to do something. They already had that big win over Arizona, but now they also have to take down UCLA. It is going to be a big test for them. The Bruins are a bit better than the Wildcats. The Aztecs are trailing by 8, but it's not over. With no timeouts and less than a minute on the clock, I don't know why they decided to run the football there, but that is going to waste almost half the time they have left, and you got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of it. Just like that, it is a 3rd and 7 with 11 seconds remaining. I don't know how we got here. Don't go down in bounds. Oh, it's such a mismanagement of the time. Somehow, in the span of that entire remaining minute, they only got off 3 plays. If that's how they're going to handle it, San Diego State doesn't deserve to win. It is a tough loss for them, but they just weren't able to score that much throughout the game, and we are not going away from LA. We are just seeing another team from LA play instead. Though, ironically, they are attacking UCLA, so it's another attack for the Bruins. This one is going to be a little bit harder for them to handle. It is going to be a tie game, 24-all, with a minute left, so we are in for a great finish. Instant shed from the defensive tackle. Nico Yamaleva is able to get it out fast enough, though, and I think UCLA really wants to score. They're calling their timeouts. They are trying to preserve the clock, but they got a hand on it. That is a major hit to the Bruins' momentum. They're facing a 3rd and 3 where they might have to punt it back to the Trojans, but instead it is a deep shot that is open. USC is giving it up. I can't believe they just took that chance on 3rd and 3. They are getting the win. They deserve it. No fear at all from the Bruins. They are going to be playing exciting football as we get deeper into this Imperialism. I'm hoping they come out on top. Don't throw a pick now. I will say I am wondering what the thought process was behind throwing the football instead of running it 3 straight times and ending the game. USC only had 2 timeouts. USC is now going to be able to get the football back. At least UCLA gets a touchdown. If they wouldn't have even come up with that, though, it would have been an even worse decision. I mean, they just gave USC a chance. They're going to take out the kickoff. They're going to make it to the 13. That was not the smartest decision in the world. Are they going to be able to get anywhere with this drive? They have that 1 timeout in their back pocket still. They're going to start with 7. Immediately, the timeout is now gone. Here we go. Got to get a big play. Got to get a big play. And they do. Jaden Mava is making stuff happen. But with 13 seconds left, this has to be something that gets out of bounds. You got to stop the clock. And they're going to hit him with the flag, but he was doing the right thing. One final opportunity for the Trojans. You send everybody down the field and you throw up the Hail Mary. Well short of the end zone, though. That did not really have a chance of amounting to anything. The victory bell is going to go to the Bruins. They are another team like Houston, like Boise State, like Texas Tech that has looked really good. Even Cal is another one I will throw onto that list, and Notre Dame. We'll see which one of those teams can win it all if it's one of them. We just hit the top 50, so there's another 44 schools that could also win it. I don't know if I'd say UTEP could. I think they are stuck attacking either Texas or Texas Tech. Either way, it's not a win, but they have been boxed in by the Red Raiders. They are looking for an enormous upset. They were just a couple turnovers away from it being really competitive too. A couple red zone interceptions have cost them here. It just had a lot of potential to go away. I don't think most people would have seen coming, but it didn't anyway. Doesn't matter. Texas Tech just picks up another win. I think they have won the most games in this Imperialism so far. What about Northern Illinois? They have not had to do a thing. Neither has Northwestern. Now one of those two will be out. I'm pretty sure this is the season Northwestern gets to move into their new stadium. At first it was looking like they might lose this game, but they are going to be okay. For whatever reason, Northern Illinois trying to drive down the field down by 10. You all will see the play calls in a second. It seems kind of normal at first. They're deciding to throw the football. They throw the football and then it just switches. They ran it 6 straight times. They threw away any hope that they had of coming back for almost no yards. They just didn't want it bad enough. I guess they didn't want to be trapped in a sea of Big Ten teams and Notre Dame. It is just another MAC school that we have lost. Kent State is still in this thing though, so there's at least one. It is kind of funny that that is the MAC school that is stuck this far. As for UCF, they're attacking Miami. The Hurricanes practically had them boxed in. We could see an upset here. It's a 7 overall difference. UCF shot themselves in the foot over and over and over and over and over again though to lose this game because headed into the 4th quarter they were down by 3. Then they gave up 21. They could not move the football. I got super excited to see what they could do, and then they did absolutely nothing time and time again. That is how the final 2 teams in the state of Florida are Florida Atlantic and Miami. North Dakota State's going to have to play. Not sure where this wheel is going to take them, but it looks like it is Minnesota. This could be a welcome to FBS imperialism moment for them. It's not like they've been completely shafted. They're a 75 overall, which is pretty good for a Mountain West school. What it has led to is a very exciting game with a minute and a half. Minnesota on a 3rd and 10, trailing by 4. Drake Lindsay will step up and make the throw. They also break off of the tackle. It's looking like the Gophers are going to be able to score. Even if they do, they are still going to have to be able to stop the Bison offense, though. So we'll see how it all plays out. Drake Lindsay is going to get a clean pocket here as well. They keep breaking the first tackle. Now North Dakota State sends 4 once again, but they were able to get the pressure, and that was not a fumble. You know, for all the momentum Minnesota was carrying, I guess there is no guarantee that they are able to finish off this drive. Looks like North Dakota State is going to give up the underneath route, ready to rock them. They baited Drake Lindsay straight into that. And this is a huge 4th and 4. This is the game right here. If Minnesota cannot get 4 yards, it is going to be over. And they throw up a 50-50 ball for it that is not going to be caught. That just couldn't be the move. That just could not be the route that they decided on. Yeah, this one's over. This one is over. North Dakota State is making waves at Minnesota. Welcome to FBS imperialism. You all have arrived. They are having no issue with the transition from FCS. DJ Scott looks better than ever. And how long is this going to go on for? You know, I feel pretty comfortable saying, and the imperialisms North Dakota State was a part of, they never had this much territory. They are sitting in a really nice spot up there, and they're only bordered by a couple programs. To have that much land, it could be far worse than that. Are we going to actually go to UMass? We're actually dealing with some of these Northeast schools. They typically get avoided, but now Boston College is going to have to play. It's a little early for that for them. Typically, they can walk their way into the top 10 and not have to do a thing. I don't know if you'll realize how bad this is either. They're losing to UMass. The Minutemen did not win a single game last season, and they're beating an ACC team. Is this what happens when the Eagles actually have to play somebody? I can't believe you got rid of that. Boston College is just not in a good position. They are in a rough spot, but they do have 2 timeouts left. They need to get this 3rd and 1 first. Kamarian Thomas will get the sack instead. And I don't think they're calling a timeout. They're going to let a lot of time run off the clock. This is wild. Boston College is about to make their exit to UMass. I wasn't a believer in it happening, but if you can't hang on to it, it is. All they have to do is take a knee, and there is a chance this is one of the very first times we are seeing UMass win a game in imperialism. I don't want to say it for 100% certainty, but I don't think they're used to this. It is now guaranteed the Northeast will finish quite a bit different than it normally would. If Pittsburgh beat Penn State too, that would have been another. I am still just shocked that that was the one Boston College loss, and UMass is playing again. They're trying to go back-to-back. They're trying to go 2 for 2. This time, it is going to be against Syracuse. It is a little bit of a tougher game, but it's not like it's that much different. I'm going to be honest, I don't say this about many teams, but I think we might need to test UMass. I don't know what they're on, but they have to be on something. They are in a tight game once again. It is competitive. If they are able to score a touchdown, they are going to take the lead. William Watson has been able to throw 3 interceptions, and they're only down by 4. The more time that they take as well, the better for them if they're able to make it happen. There's typical UMass football. It is coming back. They drop it, and no one's open. No one is open. Syracuse might actually get that stop. They sent the blitz. They force a fumble. That is going to do it. UMass is eliminated. Just when they were turning me into a believer, it all falls apart, and that was such an interesting 2-game cycle. They brought far more entertainment value to these rounds than I thought they were going to. Fresno State could be next. What are they going to add, or are they just going to get blown out? They're attacking UCLA, but I also have to assume that their roster is decent. The teams that made the jump from the Mountain West to the Pac-12 just have a little bit more to work with. It does seem like we could experience overtime here if Fresno State can get in. I know a lot of y'all like Rayshawn Luke as a transfer target, but he's not cooking in this one. 11 carries for 19 yards. Now, what he did to us in the Hawaii Dynasty series, we will never speak on again. Fresno State isn't making it. They are very close. They're at the 1-yard line, but UCLA might be able to hang on strong. Both teams have 17 first downs. Are they going to run this? I don't know. I think they're throwing. UCLA looks like they are sitting in man-to-man coverage, and you just got to get it out fast. What are we going to see for this 2-point conversion? This is to send it to OT, basically. and they've left him open. I highly doubt UCLA is going to try to do anything here either. They're taking it to OT. It is where Fresno State will have the ball first. Christian Martin is going to make the throw, and they're at the 2. They're then going to be out in Wildcat. They are trying to punch this one in. They might have lost a few yards in the process. Somehow they still scored. UCLA could actually be in a lot of trouble. I can't believe I gave them the cosign. I can't believe I said they could win the entire thing, surprisingly. Just by doing that, it might have jinxed them. The wheel route looked open for a split second. That could have been an interception. Instead, they get to go to the 11 and just miss out on a touchdown. 2nd and 10, back to the air. And a throw on the run is dropped. They're so close to making some really nice plays, but they keep falling through, and this is going to be it. Noah Yen has forced the Bruins into a 4th and 18, and what's the flag? What's the flag? No. There's absolutely no way. I mean, they caught it anyway. I guess it was just meant to be for the Bruins to win. You've seen all the momentum shift back in their favor. I mean, when you convert a 4th down that long, there's just no hope. There's no returning. They thought they had it. 3rd and inches. They are going to bring out the big bodies. They're not punching it in. They were about as close as you could get to doing so, though, and here it is. The 2-point conversion still matters a ton, and he threw it to the wrong guy. I saw the open tight end there. I would have thrown it to the tight end. That is saying a lot, but also you see a little bit more when you're watching, not playing. Just saying that next time you tell me somebody is wide open. It is 3rd and 1 for Fresno State. They aren't going to be able to convert. What do they have as an answer on 4th and 3? Oh, run up the middle. They did not go away from what they wanted. With an incomplete pass on 1st down, they're surprisingly going to throw the football again, even though they wanted to run so badly just seconds ago. They might be running the exact same play too. That's at least what I would think. Judging by the motion, you got a zig open though, and you throw to the covered receiver. Fresno State has just made this as hard as they can on themselves. Are they going to be able to overcome the stadium pulse and pull off the upset? I think they might. I think they might. He dropped it. He dropped it. He had no shot of dropping that ball. That is caught 95% of the time. It hit him in both of his hands, and he just drops it. I am telling you right now. I don't know what EA did to this game, man, but that happens too often. Maybe I'm being too hard on them, though. It does happen in college football. We could see it that way. That is a really rough spot for that to happen to that young man right there, though. Fresno State has been eliminated from Imperialism multiple times in that game. It was looking like they were going to pull it off, but they just weren't able to in the end. We've seen Ole Miss pull off quite a few wins so far, though. We'll see if they get another. I'm sure not enjoying the fact that this has set them up to face Kentucky. What can you do, though? It is our time to shine. It's our time to pull off an upset. Well, I would really prefer if we just don't say much about this game. I think you can tell from the score how this one went. We're just gonna move past it. I got nothing nice to say. We're moving on to the next. That is when the wheel is going to take us back to North Dakota State. We already saw them come away with 1 win, and they want another. If there's any team that they are about to run into, it is the Hawkeyes. They're at a 5 overall disadvantage, but they were at a 6 overall disadvantage versus Minnesota. If anything, it is their defense that is really carrying this roster. They're up by 8. I could sit here and take the layup of a joke of Iowa's offense just not moving the ball effectively, them struggling. I wasn't going to do that, though. I was going to give credit to the Bison, and they should have forced a fumble here. All Iowa has been able to get is a bunch of field goals, so I really don't think they're scoring. However, that throw did set them up in a much better position than they were in. They still have 17 seconds. They're on the 30-yard line, so there is hope that they are able to send this one to overtime, and we get another thriller like UCLA Fresno State was, maintaining himself very well back there. Throw on the run over his head. I just don't know if they're going to get off another snap. Here's the thing. We know how this game works, and the clock has already started ticking. It's down to 5 seconds. You should get to the line and spike the ball as fast as you can, but they are not going to get this off. So North Dakota State, by just a few yards, is going to be able to hang on and win this game. That was something right there. They are just going to pick up a little bit more land for themselves. They might be new to the FBS level, but they are not going to be an easy out for any team. Is it Boise State that might be playing against them next, though? No, they're headed south. That is actually going to make the Broncos attack Utah State. They've joined the Broncos in moving over to the Pac-12. It is like these two teams are not even on the same planet, though. They won 47-3. Maddox Madsen is literally just cooking everyone. At least according to College Football 27, Boise State is looking dangerous for this next college football season. This is also potentially the coolest that this map has ever looked as we've reached a top 40. It is so evenly spaced out. There are so many teams here that might not typically be in these positions. I'm just very excited to see how it all finishes. When it comes to Colorado, it's been a minute since they've had to do anything. It seems like their next attack is going to be against BYU. With what we have seen out of the Cougars, I can't say that's ideal for them. The Buffaloes have been able to put up a very good fight though, and they're only down by 5. Is Julian Lewis going to be able to cook? Is he going to be able to lead his team down the field? They need 80 yards. They need this touchdown. The 7 yards was a nice little pickup, but this is going to do so much more. They make it just to midfield. Then they get another 15. The only concern is they just went under 30 seconds. That's what happens when you complete all these passes in bounds, and that's why they headed towards the sideline. We will see if they come up with anything here. I see the route they want to take. I see the route. Step out of bounds. Why didn't you step out of bounds? Instead, he just tried to run through a guy. I don't know. I don't know about that move, unless they're saying he was out of bounds. No, the clock's running. Okay, gotta snap it. They're basically just gonna get this one play to score. Colorado with the game-winning touchdown potentially here. Julian Lewis finds a receiver, and he spins. He spins. He spins on the 3-yard line nowhere. He doesn't try to run through anybody. I know he had 5 guys converging down, but you gotta just power through. I've seen it all, man. I have seen it all. I just can't believe that's how they're going out. A near perfect drive, and they just weren't able to capitalize at the very end of it. That just landed on Wisconsin. The Badgers think they're safe. The Badgers think they can keep on avoiding having to play. Instead, they are now stuck attacking Michigan State. That little extra bit of Michigan that I can't imagine anybody ever goes to has caused them to have to deal with this. I couldn't even tell you what is in that part of the state. It is just going to be the reason that Michigan State is eliminated because they got smoked 44-22. Michigan State gave up 44 points to the team that basically had the worst offense in the country last year, by the way. And it's this part of Michigan. There is nothing up here. The biggest city is Marquette, and it looks like it might have 15,000 people. That also caused me to trip out for a second because Marquette University is in Wisconsin, but it's in Milwaukee, so it's a completely separate city in Michigan. The wheel has landed on Penn State, and they're going to attack to the east. Temple has made it this far without having to do anything yet. They are now getting put to the test, a challenging one at that. Unfortunately for the Owls, Penn State was able to double the score against them. It is back-to-back games where that has happened to the team that has gotten attacked. If that trend were to continue, it would be good news for BYU because they're about to play. Who are they going to be going up against, though? It is taking them northwest. That is none other than rivals Utah. We're getting the Holy War. You know, I've always wondered why the rivalry trophy for this series just has a boot sitting there. It literally could be as simple as they're just teams out west and it's connected to that, or there could be some deeper meaning. I'm not entirely sure, but Utah is losing this one by 10. They aren't even going to snap the ball at the end of the game, I guess. Okay, BYU takes the win. Not that they were about to change anything anyway. It wouldn't have been possible, but we are not getting an instant classic like I thought we might. We're just going back to the wheel, and FIU, you are in trouble, buddy. This wheel could point anywhere on the map. There's only one team they can attack. They are sitting here stuck between Miami, and they're going to have to somehow escape. Staying in that position was only going to last them so long. I'm pretty sure Miami had like 600 total yards of offense against them. They moved the ball with ease, so this is not a shock. That is going to be it for FAU, a very short mention for them. I'm sure every fan of every team is hoping their team gets at least a little bit more notoriety in the video than what just happened there. For BYU, they cannot stop attacking. This is one of those that did have the potential to be Stanford, but it is going to run into UCLA instead. That means we've gotten ourselves a huge one. These teams have both won a lot of games. They've gotten themselves a lot of territory, but it can only last so far. It does seem like the Bruins are going to come up short. They're trailing by 14. And it's just another pick for Nico. You don't have to throw it. Sometimes it's better to just hang on to the football, to tuck it, to throw it away, to take the sack. Anything but that. It is making it the end of the road for his team. BYU just got potentially the most land in the country. It is definitely starting to add up for them, and the number of teams out west has dwindled down to about 5. There's just not too many left. They have been eliminating themselves for a while. This is going to Coastal. I'm pretty sure they're just surrounded by Clemson and South Carolina. I guess they could have attacked Duke as well, but with this arrow pointing this way, they're going to attack the Gamecocks. Unless they win, there is no chance we see the Teal field in usage because they're headed on the road. The beautiful thing about this one is it has headed to overtime. South Carolina had the ball first, and they started a drive with a 21-yard rush, but are they going to be able to finish it off? Lenore Sellers makes the throw, and they got it. You can hear the crowd chanting USC. They believe that they are the true USC. In my opinion, though, they're just not, though they are coming on them hard. It is 3rd and 19. Coastal Carolina did so much to get into this position, and it might all just be going away. Not really much hope for them. They're just going to send up a prayer, and they got a hand to it. South Carolina had more of a worry about Coastal Carolina than dealing with Georgia. That is just wild to think about. You know what? A win is a win, and they will take it. We really are getting down to the wire in this imperialism. 33 teams left on the wheel. Most of them have played in a few games. West Virginia did one. The action is going to continue to pick up, though, and they are attacking Penn State. What are the Mountaineers going to be able to do here? They're going to cause a little bit of chaos. I'm afraid their defense is Swiss cheese. They gave up 49 points. They only scored 10. Rocco Becht felt better than ever. It was simply a rough one for the Mountaineers, so that'll be it. You know, Penn State, they have impressed me so far. They are almost going to have to play again. Instead, it is Ole Miss. There are so many different directions this could be. Ultimately, instead of them facing Texas Tech, it is going to run into SMU. Don't sleep on the Mustangs, though. They have an 87 overall offense. They have only been able to put up 17 points, which is a little problem, but Kevin Jennings is taken off to the 5 with 24 seconds left, down by 12. He's doing anything to pull off this comeback. It is going to need to be a miracle for the Mustangs, but we'll see if they can connect with a receiver in the end zone here. I saw someone open for a split second, and he tried to get it there. Ole Miss has proven time and time again they are going to be a tough team to knock out. Open slant will get SMU on the board. Are they going to be able to get the onside kick is the next question, and it is going to land in Ole Miss's hands. They needed a lot to go their way, but they did put up a good fight. It is just going to be another good result for Ole Miss as they're trying to win this entire thing. We are getting closer and closer to a top 25. It was about to be Ole Miss again. Old Dominion instead means they're going to have to play their first one. Attacking the Blue Devils isn't that favorable with the way they've been performing. Who knows what the Monarchs are capable of, though? Evidently, not too much. Duke wins this one 35-10. It is yet another blowout that we have had to sit there and witness. Where does this leave us with 30 teams left, though? Well, this is how the United States has shaped up. There's just a couple states that still haven't been claimed up in the Northeast. Right now, UConn and Syracuse are the only two schools that even have a chance at running into them. With teams like Ohio State getting picked, it is where it can get interesting. Either them or Ole Miss is not going to make it to the next round. We are going to have a lot of big games coming up. I am glad that this one has turned into the one that it has too. Ole Miss is down by 8, but they have the ball at the end. Trinidad Chambliss has had a little bit of a struggle so far. He's thrown 2 interceptions. He has no touchdowns. He is still trying to put the team on his back here at the end, though. 2nd and 10. Ohio State isn't getting pressure fast enough, and they're going to hang on to it at the 1. They are going to have enough time for at least another play. They should have enough time for 2 to 3. We will see how Ohio State handles this. It said they're sitting in a cover 2. And Trinidad Chambliss said, I'm just going to take off, maybe send it to OT. We'll see what the Rebels draw up. You would expect Ohio State to have a QB spy out here if they were going to pass, but it's just an easy run for Kewan Lacey. We are about to get ourselves a really good one unless some miracle happen here. Overtime in Oxford. Doesn't get much better in this. The Rebels with the ball first are just going to go right back to the run. Here on 2nd and 8. They did go to the air. They couldn't catch it, though, so they might get held to a 3 and out. Will the Ohio State defense hang in there? I mean, up until that last touchdown, they just held the Rebels to field goal after field goal, and he breaks off of the tackle, but it's not going to be enough. That is what the Buckeyes needed. It looks like they might knock out Ole Miss. Will Ohio State be able to capitalize on their opportunity? It is sure looking like it. They got a motion coming across before this snap, and he's going to take it and have all the green grass in front of him. That is going to be it. After everything Ole Miss went through, it was only going to last so long. Ohio State has taken over all of this, and now they're going to be attacked even more. That is the thing. The team that is controlling this plot of land as imperialism winds down is in a very compromised position. You got schools halfway across the country that might end up attacking you. We are literally immediately finally getting an example of that as Kansas State runs into Buckeye territory. Most likely this is going to happen a lot, so the Buckeyes better be ready. It is safe to say they were prepared for this one pretty well. 37-3. It's almost like Kansas State didn't even show up. Not a great look for the Wildcats. I cannot lie. For Duke, they're playing again. They have already been able to withstand like 5 or 6 games. Either them or South Carolina is about to be in a bit of trouble though, and both these teams have potential. Here we go. I'm actually really pumped up for this matchup. For it to just be 34-3 is a major letdown. Lenore Sellers handled his business. I just don't know what happened to Duke. They've been performing so well, it just all went out the window. I guess this is just showing how big of a threat South Carolina could be to so many schools on the map. For Delaware, most likely a little bit different. They will be going up against Rutgers, who also hasn't had to play. All the teams that have had that luxury are soon gonna have to do something. It is really neat seeing these two teams battle it out. Rutgers and Delaware are gonna be tied up. What Delaware should be doing here is calling a timeout so they have time to respond. For whatever reason, they waited till there was 28 seconds left. It doesn't make any sense unless they wanted to go straight to overtime, as this is going to tie it. Recently, we have been getting a lot of games that can't just figure it out before the end of regulation, and the Blue Hens are looking to strike first here, as they're now at the 7. Little bit of a run to switch things up. We'll put them on the 1. I've never seen Jonathan writ like that either. Did y'all see it was Joe Nathan? At least that is how I'm assuming you say it. We'll see if Joe Nathan gets the ball again, and he is going to. How is Rutgers going to be able to respond? Are they going to have an answer? Throw on the run. We'll put them at the 1 already. It is looking like we're headed to second overtime about as fast as you can. The run did not work, though, which is why they passed. AJ Suris is doing a good job for Rutgers now, but that was weird. He just ran backwards off of the halfback screen. It is 2nd and 17. I swear, halfback screens literally just do not work in this game. Rutgers is going to have to kick. Delaware has the opportunity to survive this and move on now. All they have to do is score a touchdown, and that's not an amazing start. 2nd and 8, I am seeing a receiver wide open off the hitch route, but they decide to run instead. They then mix in the RPO on 3rd down, but he did not make it. Just when I thought Delaware was going to do it to Rutgers, they have instead opted to kick 3 and trade 2-point conversions back and forth. I still will never forgive college football for what they did to our precious overtime. I wish that they would just keep doing drives against each other. This isn't going to work. Rutgers can now win with a 2-point conversion themselves, and they just went backwards. Neither team wants to win this game. Neither team wants to win. Delaware could still do it if they just decided to throw the ball. That's what they've done. You got 5 receivers out there. Someone's going to be open. Somebody is going to be open. Delaware, the Blue Hens, just moved up to FBS a couple years ago, and they are taking down Rutgers. What a story. What a win. What a football program. You can take the Scarlet Knights off of the map. Those are the exact type of results we watch Imperialism for. Good for Delaware. What about Penn State? They are in the area. They could very well be attacking them. Unfortunately, for Kent State, it will be them instead. This is the last MAC school in Imperialism. I don't know how they're going to represent. I will tell you right now, I was sure not expecting 27-20. Kent State is in this game against the Nittany Lions. Drew DeShields has thrown 2 interceptions, but he also has 2 passing touchdowns. He needs to lead them down the field. On 2nd and 1, he is going to get a huge throw off, and they don't have timeouts, but this is big. They actually have a chance to get this one to overtime. Hopefully, he runs out of bounds. Penn State better lock in, or else Drew DeShields is about to have an open receiver here. I see him getting down the field. He finally found him at the last second. They just didn't have the right connection. And look at how small this stadium is. They're still putting up a fight. Nothing better than MAC football. It's about as pure as it gets. Are we going to scramble? No, it's a throw at the last second. Another good decision. 8 seconds left. You basically have 2 chances at the end zone. Just don't take a sack here. Drew DeShields is going to chuck it. This is it for Kent State. They could upset Penn State right here. All they need is a big play. Drew DeShields is going to take off, and he is going to fight his way in. We are headed to OT. I kind of wish they would just go for the 2-point conversion, but I'm assuming they are just going to kick their extra point. Very rarely you will see the computer be that aggressive. It is the time to be aggressive, though, because it's going to be a lot harder to win it in overtime. Kent State will be getting the ball first. We'll see if their offense can remain as explosive. I'm really hoping that they don't just regress here. I mean, they look dangerous at the end of regulation. That's a good play. Kent State is then going to run. I haven't seen that out of him. We are going to then get another one out of them, though, and this is what you need. Drew DeShields to keep it. He doesn't fight his way in. I feel like he took a little bit of a bad angle there. He could have scored. Now it's 3rd and goal, and Penn State is going to probably stack the box. It won't matter if it's a toss to the outside, though. It is time for Penn State to come up with their response, and I hope the Kent State defense can make something happen. If the Golden Flashes pull this off, this would be such an incredible Imperialism win. They're going to be able to keep them out of the end zone. How much longer can the Golden Flashes keep this up for? They're going to hand it off. They're all over the run. They are all over the run. They sniffed it out. Carson Hansen might have over 100 yards in this game, but he was losing his yards there. 3rd and goal from the 6. Lots of pressure on Penn State. Kent State brings the heat, and that was the right decision. What a move. They might actually be able to pull this off. Penn State has one play to save their Imperialism run. Do they have an answer? Kent State brings the pressure again, but it just doesn't get in, and they still get their hands on the ball. They are able to stick on the Nittany Lion receivers like glue. Kent State has shocked the world. That is back-to-back incredible results. I just cannot believe that they won. You got them in Delaware now. Those two in North Dakota State are the 3 big underdogs to watch, as we now have our top 25. Just pure cinema out of this Imperialism. I am very much so enjoying it. We got Texas A&M, a team that is surrounded by Houston, basically. This was always going to be the most likely outcome with them playing. It's a real test for Houston to see if they're as legit as I've been making them out to be. You know, they've performed pretty well, but they are down by 6 with 45 seconds left. Connor Wigman is going up against his former school. This one's personal. He is trying to knock them out of Imperialism, and he had to get rid of it. This is his shot to prove he is a better quarterback than Marcel Reed. He's about to get rocked, though. That is most likely going to do it as well. I don't think they're getting off another snap. Looks like the Aggies are going to survive. Texas A&M made the right decision with the quarterback that they chose, and that is it. At least we got ourselves a great game out of that one. The wheel will now take us to Louisiana Monroe. They are a school that's been fortunate. They've not had to do anything. That is about to change. They have to attack Ohio State. You know, it doesn't get much worse than this. It is going to finish 44-0. These two teams were not even on the same playing field. It was not a fair fight. They're in different weight classes. We'll just breeze past it. They had their chance, and that is how it went. They did not score on the Buckeyes. Stanford almost got hit. That wheel stayed on South Carolina, though, who is headed south. Either them or Miami is about to have a really large territory. Lots on the line here. It is a 6 overall difference, but South Carolina plays better than their overall. What has this gotten us? Well, 23 seconds left from the 17. South Carolina is down by 7. Lenore Sellers will have his opportunity to make miracles happen and send them to overtime. Now, he is going to scramble. I think he's just going to get rid of it. That was the smart decision. He almost took a sack in bounds. That would have been detrimental. The Gamecocks basically have 2 more shots to the end zone. We'll see what they can come up with. How are the Hurricanes going to defend this? They send a little bit of extra pressure, and it is going to work. His pocket collapses. He couldn't find anybody open, and that is going to do it. Miami is going to take over all of this. They're going to be exposed to a lot of other programs. They could be attacked by even more schools, and the ones that are the luckiest are like a Louisiana Tech or a Tennessee that have not moved at all. I think everybody else that is left on the map at this point has had to play in at least one game. James Madison might not have. I just can't remember. I feel like they attack somebody down here, though, and won. They are going to be stuck with Maryland. The Terrapins haven't played too many times, but Malik Washington steps up each one. Not in this game. He might have just rushed for a 42-yard touchdown. However, James Madison is still up by 9. They're going to kick this extra point to get it within a possession. Then they are either going to need to get this onside kick recovery or a defensive stop. Looks like the Dukes scoop up the onside kick. Maryland better force a fast 3-and-out, or else JMU is going to be able to steal all of their land. That first run gets him 7. George Pettaway was patient there. Shades of a prime Le'Veon Bell. And the RPO is going to be enough for James Madison to end it. Why did he freeze up? Watch this defender. I saw it happen in the Hawaii series as well. They just freeze, and for like 3 seconds, He just doesn't realize this guy has the ball somehow. That is not what Maryland was hoping for. That is not how they thought this was going to go. The Big Ten is going to see an elimination there, and what about Louisiana Tech? Are they going to have what it takes to shock the world, or is this going to go like Louisiana Monroe? We know the most likely answer, but we also just watched what happened with Kent State. On the bright side, the Bulldogs are 74 overall, not a 69. Up until the fourth quarter of this one, it was actually a little bit tight, but in the end, Ohio State pulled away. Louisiana Tech got it within 14, then all of a sudden, it was over. Not too many teams remaining now. We are going to have the wheel take us over to Northwestern. This could go multiple different ways, and it's up north. Well, either them or Wisconsin won't make it much further. Both of them should just be relieved they made it this far in the first place. Those Wisconsin offensive struggles from last season returned in this game. Northwestern beats them by 22. They also had just 10 points up until the very, very end, and this is a little bit more purple to the map. Them, James Madison, Clemson, all of them contributing it. We have a really colorful one as we go into the top 20. Not too many teams still standing. We're down to the bottom, like 15%. For UConn, couple of different directions this could end up. I thought they might get to claim this free state, but instead, they're attacking Syracuse. This rivalry is basically the battle to see who is going to come out of the Northeast. Here in the Carrier Dome, we are getting one that is going to come down to the wire. 2 minutes left on the clock. The Huskies are sitting on the 9-yard line. If they don't pick up this 3rd and goal, they are most likely just going to settle for a field goal. He cannot catch it. At least they are still going to have the opportunity to get the football back. They've saved all 3 of their timeouts. The Orange have not been able to steal this one yet. They are going to need a first down. On 2nd down, they'll make it there. That's it. I guess there's still a world where Connecticut could get it back with like 10 seconds left. It's just not looking very promising for the Huskies. On a 2nd and 8, there could be another first down here, and this will definitely do it. He's even looking back at them like these kids are way too slow, maybe getting a touchdown to really seal it. Do not get him confused with Tyreek Hill either. His name is Tylik Hill. Just like Tyreek playing running back in college for an orange school, the speed is there. I am seeing some similarities. Syracuse is going to be sitting nice in this Imperialism with their current spot on the map. For Clemson, they're in a little bit of a different position. It's a little bit more convoluted. You would think that this wheel is putting them towards Ohio State territory, but this just little tip of Miami means it's not. There are so many big games that are going to have to happen down in this region. It is also going to give us another very exciting final 10 seconds. It was seeming like Clemson wasn't going to be able to come back, but then TJ Moore made a 30-yard grab to get them to the 9-yard line. They still have 1 timeout left. They need a touchdown. So if they even get half of it here, they're going to have a chance, but that is thrown into triple coverage. Not what I thought Clemson was going to do there. But again, they still have a chance. Their game-winning drive didn't have any hope up until this moment. Are they going to be able to get lucky with the Hail Mary? Of course, this ball is going to get there. The question is, what happens after it bounces into his hands? It was in his hands. It was there. He had it. Am I missing something? Nobody even contested it. He had his hands ready. It bounced right there, and he still did not catch it. I mean, this is unbelievable. You could not ask for a better gift than what happened right here. His teammate came in the way, knocked it out of his hands. Is that what happened? I mean, I thought for sure. Right there, game over. Boom, knocks it out. You know, TJ Moore's got to snag that one either way, but that's kind of funny. You have one of the best moments of your career coming up, and then your buddy just comes out and smacks the ball away, trying to steal the light. That is how Clemson is going to be eliminated. No more for them. Northwestern will be attacking North once again. There were 2 ways this could have gone, and theirs is a little bit more unfortunate because instead of North Dakota State, that is pointing closer to Notre Dame. Either way, I think they might have a hard time getting a win, but then again, we saw what they did to Wisconsin. I am ashamed to say I was ever doubting the Wildcats. They're up by 21. I don't know what happened to Notre Dame in this game, but they did not show up. They just got flat out embarrassed. You can hear their fans booing them. Northwestern is taking the college football world by storm, and what a season they're having in their new stadium. When we zoom out at the whole map, there are a couple teams that stand out more than others on most likely to win the entire thing. I really like how things are shaping up. I could not tell you how it's going to finish because the underdogs also perform. For Ohio State, the more they have to play, the harder it'll be. They're going to have to deal with Northwestern too, and we saw what they did to Notre Dame. Is there enough magic for the Wildcats to do it 2 times in a row? It looks like they are, as we're also going to have an opportunity for this to go to overtime. Northwestern is down by 7, but they are driving down the field. They've made it to the 29-yard line. 45 seconds left. Aiden Childs gets this one out. Looked like he was going to run. He is doing everything right when it matters the most. What does Ohio State have as a response to this? Well, they're going to let them turn this drag into a touchdown. This is where things get interesting. Northwestern is going for the 2-point conversion. They do not want to kick the extra point, and Aiden Childs is going to feel the pressure. You know, I really respect that. I really do, because most teams would not do it. Unfortunately, it just did not go their way, and they are not going to get the onside kick. We were moments away from another major upset. One of the favorites to win this entire thing was on the verge of being eliminated. Ohio State is basically separating the East and the West. For the two to connect, you are going to have to go through the Buckeyes. A lot more games with them most likely coming up. Even teams like Texas Tech could run into that direction. For now, instead, the Red Raiders are going to be running into Texas. The Longhorns have just been lurking down there waiting for their opportunity, and here it is. I will say, Texas is in an incredible position with 75 seconds left. It's a tie game, but they have the ball in field goal range, and it looks like Arch Manning is going to keep this one, as they are going to be able to get the first down. That might be it. I don't know how they're going to manage this clock, but Texas Tech is calling timeouts. If they really wanted to, they could run through the rest of it, kick a field goal, and be okay. I'm just not sure if the computer is going to be that smart. Here on 2nd and 8, they are going to the air. This is what I'm talking about. And Arch Manning is going to take off, giving the Red Raiders an opportunity. You know, Texas Tech is really in a blessed position. Will Hammond has a lot on his plate. They probably didn't think they were even going to get an opportunity like this, though. There's 20 seconds left, and you really got to get out of bounds. That's what they do. Just throw up a couple chances to the end zone. This is going to get them all the way to the 20. You need one more snap. We will see how the game decides they handle this final 10 seconds. The clock has started to tick. Is Texas going to be able to survive this, or will Texas Tech get off one more play? It looks like they are not going to be able to. The Longhorns are going to hang on at the end, but they gave them their opportunity. Texas Tech had themselves a nice run. That is going to be the end of it. We are left with just 15 college football programs, and this is how the map of the United States has turned out. We will see who the next team is to potentially go. It'll be Virginia Tech. They're going to have to attack, and it'll be to the northeast. Well, for Kent State, that isn't amazing news. They might have been able to get one upset win, but are they able to get another? I really don't understand how this is possible, but they are up 31-26. Kent State is normally the team that I'm going to title, I've rebuilt the worst team in college football, and it is going to be them. But they're beating Virginia Tech. James Franklin could lose if his team can't march down the field and get a touchdown in the next minute. That was a really solid start for them, and they're going to continue that as Kent State's fallen. We saw their offense clutch up when it was needed against the Nittany Lions. Can their defense do the same? With 24 seconds left, that is when they're going to get off this next play. The drag was about as open as it comes, but he didn't go out of bounds. I swear, when this game came out, when we did our first Imperialism, players were intentionally running out. We saw it happen over and over again. All of a sudden, they're not doing that, though. Instead, it is going to give Virginia Tech just 5 seconds to do anything. They throw up a 50-50 ball, and there's 1 second remaining. There is still one more chance. The Hokies could have managed the clock a lot better here, but I am all for the upsets. If Kent State is somehow going to win 2 games in Imperialism, I'm all for it. Lockdown on defense, one final time. It's a 50-50 again, and look who is coming down with the football in his hands. He didn't swat it. He said, I'm going to snag that. Add to my stat line as they get the 5-point win. Kent State might just be legit. What is happening in college football? With only 14 teams left, they should be able to get into the top 10 as long as the wheel doesn't get to them again. I feel like the odds of it aren't all that high. We haven't been out west in a while. It was only a matter of time before somebody challenged Boise State again. We'll see how the Broncos do in defending their home stadium. With 1 minute left, they are trailing by 7, but they have the ball, and they're going to start with nothing. Maddox Madsen threw it into double coverage. That receiver did not stand a chance. At least the Broncos have 3 timeouts with them still, since they just gave up a touchdown to Cal. They weren't burning any of them. Most teams in this situation can't say that, but they're going to throw an interception, and that is going to do it. Just for good measure, Cal is going to run up another touchdown. And what a performance from JKS. His team scores 48 points. At the same time, they get to take over all of this land, and the Golden Bears are a real threat. It wasn't Oregon. It wasn't USC. They are one of the main teams to expand from out west, with Stanford, BYU, and North Dakota State still there. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Ohio State isn't even getting attacked. They're also doing the attacking still. I think that's directing them straight down to Tennessee, where they're going to be facing the Volunteers. I know we all think of the same game when we think of these two teams playing each other. It's kind of funny that it has also happened at Neyland. 45-10, just a blowout for the Volunteers to have to go out on. I think it is pretty obvious Ohio State is the team everybody else should be really hoping to avoid. North Dakota State could end up going up against them. I think they are. That arrow is directing them in the wrong direction. Well, if this is it for the Bison, you had a very good impact in your first true FBS imperialism. It is a shame that they had to be punished by getting blown out 45-0 by the Buckeyes. This is a nasty run that Ohio State has been going on. They are just taking over more and more of the United States, and I'm not sure when it's going to end. They won't be playing in this game because Stanford is so far away still. Instead, they are going to be attacking BYU. They are at a 10 overall disadvantage, though. BYU is an 86. I guess it doesn't matter, though. Stanford came to play. 28-14. They're just going to take a couple knees at the very end as they have been able to walk into BYU and dominate. That was certainly not how I thought that one was going to go, but college football does what college football does best. It has given us these 10 teams in the top 10 of college football imperialism. There are certainly more than just one or two standouts here you probably would not have predicted. Ohio State not being one of those. I mean, this one's obvious. They are now going to be taking their chance all the way down here at Texas A&M. Walking into Kyle Field and winning is going to be a tough task for the Buckeyes, so we'll see how it plays out. What we basically have is another situation where Texas A&M doesn't really have that much hope. They have a timeout. They have 7 seconds, but they're trailing by 8. So they're going to need to catch a Hail Mary on the Buckeyes to win this game. It would have been neat to see them run a quick play and maybe get some of it back here, but they take the shot to the end zone. And you're telling me nobody caught that? That is hard to believe. They had the numbers there. It was also somehow only a 6-second play, which means they get their final opportunity to just send this to OT, and it won't happen. For the Buckeyes, they get to add on another win and a little bit more territory. What a close call this one was, though. Just out of his hands. Texas is now another team that is going to have a lot of their border exposed to Ohio State. You have 3 teams on the west side, 5 teams on the east side, and the Buckeyes just straight down the middle separating them. We're going to Miami. They will be taking their attack to the west. What does this mean? Well, the obvious. The only territory they can go through, like I was just saying, is Ohio State. The longer that all of these big programs battle it out, you have schools like Kent State and Delaware just sitting there smiling. You know who's not smiling? Ohio State fans. They're down by 1. At least they have the ball with 57 seconds left. They need to get into field goal range. They have 1 timeout. A 2-yard gain like that, though, where you go down in bounds is not going to be useful. If Ohio State is going to survive here, that is not what they needed at all. Hurricanes backing off some of their defensive backs. That is smart. You do not want Jeremiah Smith to come down with a huge play against you. And they tried. You know, I have to respect it. At least they're hoping to get some large gains. Jeremiah Smith will reach for it here. Did his foot get out of bounds at the same time? It did. That is big. If the clock did not stop, they might be down to about 10 seconds before getting off this next snap. Ohio State really needs to see a huge gain on this play, and that's exactly what they've gotten there at the 45. Okay, they are going to burn their final timeout here, so anything that they get now, most likely got to get out of bounds after, but they have a really good opportunity if Julian Sain is able to escape this pressure, make the throw, it's out of bounds. I figured there was no way he was going to be able to find a receiver at the same time there. What does he have cooked up on this next one? Looks like he's going to have plenty of time, but it's just the freest interception of all time. He threw a ham sandwich out there. That means the Hurricanes are going to knock off the Buckeyes. And Miami has now made it to the top 8 while taking over most of the United States. They just got a lot of land here. I mean, they are now the divider between the Northeast, basically, and the West. It is another big school that is off of this wheel, and they weren't going to avoid all these small ones forever. James Madison is going to be dealing with a team north of them. For Kent State, this might not be good news, but they've already been able to handle 2 attacks. I'm not sure the world is able to handle if they can go 3 for 3. I think sometimes you just got to let the final couple minutes play out, because what do you mean the Golden Flashes are still handling this really well? Drew DeShields will take the sack. At the very least, if this drive goes south, they'll just kick a field goal and send it to overtime. Looks like they might try and force something here to make it 3rd and manageable. He's got 300 passing yards in this game. He doesn't have any turnovers. He finds Dorelis Clark for 13 yards, and Dorelis Clark has been one of his main receivers in this one. Let's see if he can hook up with him on 3rd down. That was close. James Madison almost forced that ball loose. I don't like it at all. They are going to tie it at least. For JMU, though, they run the ball. Do they want to be able to end this one before the end of regulation or not? Okay, they're actually going to throw it on second down. Looks like the scramble was kind of there. Arlington Maiden gets a couple yards, and I think they might just let this one go to OT now. This is a really weird way to manage the clock. I'm not quite sure why they did it this way. They could have definitely gotten in field goal range. Their last chance to do anything, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. Time ran out before that play was even over, so even if they caught it, headed to overtime. If there's anything we know about Kent State, they have handled these overtime games pretty well. They're going to force that ball out. On 2nd and 10, they might take a sack as well. I thought they were just going to run. Seems like the Dukes are going to be kicking 3 here. Unless Arlington Maiden can make a play. You see him scrambling. Make the tackle before the marker. They got him. Well, I can always assume that they'll hit these most of the time. He barely did, though. That looked like it could have gone wide. Kent State will need to just get that touchdown, and Drew DeShields is selling. I've sat here and rightfully glazed him on a lot of plays, but you've got to be able to connect with your tight end there. JMU jumps. They make it a 2nd and 5 instead. So Kent State tried to run. We'll see if they do it again on 3rd and 6. They do. They're playing way too passive, and it's 4th and inches. Well, I guess we are going to see this overtime drag on for a little bit longer, since the Golden Flashes will just settle here. It'll be interesting to see if they can do anything more on this drive instead. I am not as inspired by Kent State and Drew DeShields in this one. They aren't moving me the same way that they were in some of the other games. On 3rd and 9, with JMU bringing in pressure, he's going to take a sack. The long kick is going to most likely still find its way between the 2 uprights. I think that is going to be it for the Golden Flashes, especially if JMU can run it like this. I feel bad. I wanted Kent State to make even more magic happen. This is just the inevitable. 2nd and 4, they are not going away from the run. They're not giving up on it, and that was the right choice. Well, Kent State, we still very much so appreciate how you performed in this. There was some amazing moments from the Golden Flashes. Without them, Imperialism is going to feel a little bit different. Where's the wheel taking us next? Texas A&M. Okay, we're headed to Texas. Couple tough schools around them. I just realized that's meant to be Texas on this wheel. For whatever reason, I removed Texas's name and not Texas A&M's whenever Texas A&M lost to Ohio State. But anyway, if they're attacking in this direction, it's against Stanford. Sometimes while filming, there are some short mental lapses, but fortunately, this has not affected anything. Hopefully, Texas fans can forgive me for calling them Texas A&M for a few rounds, and the Longhorns are looking to close this one out, but it is not over. Davis Warren is now starting for Stanford. He has his team down to the 4-yard line with 1.5 minutes remaining. They are down by 13, so they need a touchdown here. They're going to need a stop. The touchdown comes. This onside kick would obviously help them if they were able to get it. It is not detrimental they weren't able to, though, because they have their 2 timeouts, minute 18 left, and Texas is just going to hand it off. 2nd and 10, looks like Stanford is going to be sending a lot of numbers in, and Arch Manning is going to pull it and end their fate anyway. He rushed for 96 yards on them. That was the difference. Well, the map is just going to continue to get more and more orange. 3 of the 6 teams still remaining are that color, and then you got Delaware, James Madison, and Cal. It is a different group that we got here. That's one way to describe it. Not the final 6 I would have thought. For California, I think they're going to have to play Texas about no matter what. I guess there was a world where it could have pointed up here, but no, it is going straight to Texas. We will see how much of a threat JKS and the Golden Bears can really be. It's safe to say, even though Cal is going to lose, it is not going to be on JKS. He had a decent game. Texas just scored 47. His team's defense wasn't there for him when they needed to be. You could even say that he might have played a little bit better than Arch Manning, though they're very similar. It is just another win for the Longhorns. They are so close to taking home this entire Imperialism. It is basically between them and Miami, and then you have a few other teams that are still in the mix, like Delaware. Maybe the Blue Hens still do something. I mean, they've only won 1 game. Their next opponent will be James Madison. This rivalry is about to have a little more meaning. I'm sure they were big FCS rivals before both of them moved up recently. We know who the big dog is, though. We know who has been a really, really solid G6 school. It's James Madison. They're going to win this one easily. No problems for them there. They are going to get into the Final Four. Not much else to get through now. Syracuse, they could be playing. They could be also taking over unclaimed states. Those still exist. That is exactly why I said that. This directs them towards Maine. Okay, lucky for the Orange, they were able to avoid having to play right there. It could go straight back to them, though. And it does. With this arrow wheel, they are going to get lucky again. It is the final state that is still not taken over. Now it has been. Third time will be the charm where they actually have to do something. If this wheel directs us towards Syracuse, instead it goes to James Madison. They could either play Miami or the Orange. It does seem like it is going to be Syracuse. If Syracuse wins, the entire map is already going to be orange with 3 teams still remaining. Well, 80 seconds on the clock. James Madison down by 5. They bring out the RPO for 20 yards. They are coming serious right now because they know a touchdown wins them this game. The Dukes have just 11 first downs to Syracuse's 21, but it won't matter potentially. They are finding their rhythm at the end. They have made it to the 23, and they're just going to throw this one away. Maybe Arrington Maiden was trying to hit his receiver there, but it was well over his head. Kind of hard to tell. The Dukes still have 1 timeout in their back pocket if something were to go wrong, and you just threw it into your lineman. That was not what James Madison needed, though they are still going to convert. What a snag. What a catch. Syracuse is in a lot of trouble. It looked like there was going to be an animation play out where he just gets rocked, where he is not able to hang on to that one. That is not the case. He isn't in. Okay, it might actually be time to panic if you're rooting for James Madison. They're going to have this run down to about 10 seconds. It is a game of inches. They were not able to finish off the drive. And are they going to be able to do it here? Okay, Arrington Maiden. Arrington Maiden runs into a sack. That is it. That is it for the Dukes. They are not able to clutch up. And they were so close. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell if the ball was across the line or not. But I think it's pretty safe to say that right here, it most likely did not cross the plane. I don't know, actually. It is really close. It all depends on what angle you look at it. I told you all, if Syracuse won this, the map was about to be really orange. We are just a couple games away now from finding out our Imperialism winner. One of these teams is about to get lucky. They're not going to have to worry about playing in another game. They'll be in the championship. That team is going to be Texas. I don't think Texas can be reached. The only school's territory Syracuse borders is Miami, so it's those two playing for the other spot. Texas has already made it, and the Orange have to go on the road to attack. Unfortunately for Syracuse, here in the 4th quarter, Miami just ran away with things. Even though it seemed like we might get a tighter finish, that did not happen, but our national championship is set. We're about to crown the first 138 Team Imperialism winner ever. All I can ask for is that they give us a good game. Well, we are certainly going to get a great finish to this entire video, which I love to see. Texas is down by 5 with 2 minutes left. Arch Manning will have his opportunity to lead his team down the field, get the game-winning touchdown. They need 61 yards. They certainly have the time to be able to get this one done, and there were multiple open reads on this play. Just chipping away at getting that first down currently. We have ourselves an orange stadium. Is Miami going to fall short in another championship game? We will see. 3rd and 4. Arch Manning steps up, and he delivers, even though it looked like he was guarded. No care in the world. And it turned out to be the right thing because that defender was going to stop another receiver. I mean, at the moment he threw that ball, I thought it was going to turn into an interception, but he knows better than me. He's got time. He's got 74 seconds to get this final 40 yards. And with man-to-man coverage, I guess he is going to have someone as Texas makes their way into the end zone. Miami will have an opportunity to respond. They actually have so much time, but what are we doing? Why are we kicking an extra point when you should be going for 2 to make it a 3-point game? Where is the AI's brain cells? Darian Mensah takes his first snap for a 2-yard carry. Another interesting AI decision. You know what, though? I respect it. Maybe they thought they were going to catch the Texas defense off guard a little bit. They still have all their timeouts. They only need a field goal, and he is going to roll out straight into getting hit. I don't know what we're going to get in these final 55 seconds or so, but a horrible read like that was not what I would have thought. I mean, that was quadruple coverage. The lights might just be too bright for Darian Mensah here. Texas wins this game with a stop. Arch Manning was able to step up, get his team in the right position. Can they respond back to that? It's a huge hit. And, you know, some people are going to be very happy about this result. I'd give Bengal a call and congratulate him on his team winning Imperialism, but I don't want to deal with his sarcastic, who cares response. Great friend, of course. That's what I'll get out of him. But Texas will win this Imperialism, so big win. I think this is their first Imperialism win ever. I don't know when I'm gonna do the next one, but we got a mascot one coming. We're gonna do one with the new rosters when they come out. We're gonna do one with the FCS schools when I decide to bring FCS schools into it. Lots of imperialisms throughout the college football season. If you all really want to see one sooner, though, make sure to smash the like button on this video. Let's get this sub count above 600,000 subs. I'm so close. I just want to get there, hit that milestone, and I will see you all soon with more content.